cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. You can learn more at 1-800-633-9110.
Before your appointment, visit creoninfo.com. That's CREON info.com.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Rob Biadino here at BeatTheDA.com. My law firm's doing a ton of divorce cases these days, and the bottom line is I see a lot of controlling spouses. They try to control and threaten you with calling the police. They threaten you with taking the kids. But the worst ones are to control the money. The ones who control the money, we got to get to the bottom of. We got the investigators, we got the forensic guys, we got the experts, the bank guys. They can go find and track whatever's hidden. At the end of the day, hit me up at BeatTheDA.com or 720-706-5151.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan presents the Honorable Judge.
I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. They're like, sheesh, you got 2 more hours. No, I got 3 more hours, Cello. And we're going to bring the heat. Sean Boyd, how are you, sir?
I'm doing really good, Dan. I'm going to bring the heat. I'm like, I drank a little bit of coffee that's got me really spirited. So let's get to it.
Oh, you need to run to the room or what?
No,
That's
no,
what happens
I'm
when
just,
you get to be my age.
I'm in a spirited.
Yeah. All right.
I'm
awesome.
like ready to debate. Like, I need to chill out.
Somebody says 3 days of the judge, exclamation point. Yeah, I had a great time filling in for Dover and Cecil with Dante Gomez and Alex Pateo on Friday. Did the show yesterday. And then now back at it. Missed last week, of course, because if you have been listening the last couple days, I've sprinkled in a little, some stories here or there about. But yeah, went over to the DeLorean Eurofest and spent some time there in Belfast and Dublin and kind of I'd never been overseas, never been to Europe, anything like that. So took the family, had a really good time, had some bad good. I didn't finish them. I probably would never order them again, but they were pretty good. I liked them. I was glad, to try new things and all that stuff, but I had a good time there. We'll talk about that maybe later in the show. But a lot coming up today. James Mayer, that coming up in about 5 or 6 minutes. Sean, I was very proud of myself. I did something I don't normally do. I went outside my comfort zone, and it worked out really well. If you challenge yourself. One of my favorite quotes is, "Be bold, and mighty forces will come to your aid."
Now, Dan, I got to ask, what is it that you're speaking on or referencing when you stepped outside of your comfort zone?
So I don't like going out a lot. I don't like socializing with a bunch of people a lot. And it comes as a surprise to people. There is something called an introvert extrovert, right? So people assume they hear me on the radio or see me in court or whatever, and they assume I'm like this all the time. I'm actually not like this a lot of the time. Like a lot of the time, I don't like going to parties. I'm like a Seinfeld character, right? Like I don't like having to be on. I don't like having to make small talk. And I really have anxiety about being in close proximity to other people. So I just don't like it. That's why I've been trying to go to more games. I got season tickets to the Broncos now. Had Buff season tickets there for a couple seasons. And I've been trying to get out a little more. And so yesterday I got up and I saw that there's a guy in town, worked for the Denver Post for a long time. I think he retired from sports writing about 15 years ago, but his name is Jim Armstrong. And he actually hosted with Irv and Joe as well. It was Irv and Joe and Jim. And he exited the Fan about the same time I did when I went to law school, but we were pretty tight back in the day. I see him every now and again, here and there, the last 10, 15 years. But he was retiring from his second career, which was he owned Bender's sports bar up in, which, by the way, I had no idea how nice it was because we went there last night. I thought it was like some dive bar or something. Oh, it's in the Westminster Promenade. Very, very nice. Good food, everything. More like a Tchotchkes than a, Tchotchkes or Flingers than like a gritty.
Like a Bennigan's type of deal?
It's a little bit like Bennigan's. Yeah,
that's
kind of
old
like
school.
that. Yeah, big, clean, good fried food. So anyway, he's retiring. I saw it and I said, that thing starts at 3. I'll get done with the Dan Jacobs show at 2. Why don't I just go? Why don't I stop by? Even though it's way out of the way, it's going to take me an hour to get there. I said, you know what? I really like Jim. And I'm going to go and say, hey, Jim, congratulations on that. So I decided, and I said, maybe we'll see some interesting people there too, which is exactly what happened.
Now, don't leave us in suspense, Dan. Tell us who you saw.
Yeah. So I ran into, now a lot of people, if you're younger, you won't necessarily remember all these guys, but I ran into Joe Williams of Irv and Joe fame. That was awesome. Got to spend some time with him. Ran into longtime listener Husker Rob, who's a big Husker fan. Ran into him. But then Mark Kisla, columnist now for the Denver Gazette, legendary columnist around town. Mike Kliss was there.
This was an event for the who's who's, it kind of sounds like, my man.
Yeah, Mike Kliss was there. And Troy Rank, current Denver Post columnist, was there. So I'm just like a fly. I'm just listening to the stories. And I actually have a funny story about Kisla I'll tell later in the show. There's a segment I'm going to have to use. My wife thinks she's scared now due to something that happened 2 nights ago. She thinks I'm living on borrowed time. Like this may be my last year on the planet. She's like, we better make the most of it because if history repeats itself, you're in some trouble. So, but it is one of those things where I asked Mark Kisla about it, and he had a pretty fun story about it as well. So we'll talk about that later in the show. But yeah, I had a good time. Got out, had some good appetizers, heard some good stories. Woody Page was not able to be there, but it was funny. So I guess Jim has lived like 2 lives. Like Jim was kind of a big deal in this town. He was a man about town. He was a columnist. He was a talk show host. All this stuff. Well, I go to this party. And like he wrote, well, I guess you know what? I better step back, Sean. I don't want to violate the code. Let's just say this: he was tight with John Elway. I'll say that. All right. And so I have some stories about him and this and that, and but I guess he retired from the newspaper, and he just completely left that behind. So I get to this party, and I'm sitting with, I don't know, 7 people at some table, and I'm being very nice. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going all in, and I'm talking to people, and hey, how are you? This and that. And I'm really talking. I'm talking to all these people, and they're like, well, how do you know Jim? And I said, oh, well, back from the sports radio days. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, you didn't know Jim was a big time sports writer? No, I have no idea. Like none of the people in his life now, it's like he's in the witness protection program. Like nobody in his life knew about him. Like, you didn't know he's buddies with John Elway? You didn't know all this stuff?
Do you think that he purposely wants people to see him in a different walk of life now instead of being a columnist?
Yeah. So here, and the funny thing was I didn't know Joe was coming. Joe Williams is the same way. Joe was huge in this town, right? And a lot of influence. Everybody knew who he was. Well, now he's moved to like a 55-plus community in Loveland, Broncos and football, and he's just like, oh yeah, Like he doesn't do sports talk with them. And so it's funny because I was telling these neighbors that I was like, yeah, he's just like this guy Joe Williams. Nobody knows who he is anymore. That's the way he likes it. And then Joe comes walking in. I go, fact, there he is, right there. So I don't think. Yeah, I think. It's like, here's a good example. I don't know. There's probably lots of examples of this. Like Joe Cocker. Do you know who Joe Cocker was? He was a singer. He sang the song that they played at the beginning of the Wonder Years. You Are So Beautiful to Me. Jim Belushi did a parody of him. Huge famous rock star. He had to get away. He actually moved, I can't remember the name of town. I'll have to Google it. He moved to Colorado, made himself, they called it the Cocker Castle, but just a minuscule town with like 30 people. so he could just live in obscurity. And a lot of these celebrities do that. They make their money, they have their fun, and then they just want to be left alone. And so, yeah, I think Jim. By the way, if you don't mind getting James on the line when you get it, they just want to do their thing, and they just want to go about their business in peace, and they don't want to be worried. In fact, I remember my buddy Ed was telling me a story. His grandson, I think this was only like a year ago, was playing in a baseball little league, and it turns out Peyton Manning's son was in the same game. So Peyton Manning is in the stands. And there was this kind of cool thing that happened. Everybody was respectful of Peyton Manning. Nobody bothered Peyton Manning. They allowed him to watch his son in peace. And after that, Peyton said, all right, guys, you know what? Thank you for being so nice. He goes down onto the field, signs autographs, takes pictures, does everything for everybody. Just cool. Just a really cool thing to do. So they were respectful of him. And then he said, you know what? Yeah, man, let's do this for the kids and the parents and all that stuff. So I thought that was a cool, cool story about Peyton Manning. So yeah, we're going to get James Merilatt on any second, which I really have. I'm just really confused because I respect James. And I always say, James is right, 99% of the time, something like that. 1 or 2% of the time he's completely off his rocker. Right. But I'm I'm overseas and this news comes down. In fact, let's welcome James Merilatt into the program. Brought to you by the Birdie Bar in Louisville, the premier indoor golf bar in downtown Louisville, locally owned and operated. Find them at birdie.bar. James, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I saw the Hitman last night and our old buddies, Jim Armstrong and Mark Kisla and all those guys. We had a good time.
I saw that on social media. I was kind of wondering where my invite was, though.
Well, I knew. You already told me. You're in the Merilatt compound right now. I thought about inviting you because it's up there. It was up there by you, but you're off dashing around the world. So
was it? It was up in Westminster, right?
Yeah. Bender's at the promenade there.
All right, we'll have to take a rain check.
So let me ask you this. Speaking of traveling around the world, I'm traveling around the world. I'm going to the DeLorean Festival in Northern Ireland, and I'm trying to keep an eye on things. And I see a story, and I thought it must be like The Onion or something, because it's talking about Sean Payton just signed a new, a 5-year contract extension or something like that. And I got really confused, James, because I said, this is not possible, because James Merilatt has come on the Dan Jacobs Show multiple times, not once or twice, but he assured me that Greg Penner has it all sketched out on a napkin. He's got a succession plan he's putting into place. 2 years from now, Sean Payton will be back in the Fox booth, and Davis Webb's going to be the head coach of the Broncos. So I don't understand. Why would he sign a contract extension?
Well, are we 100% sure that's not going to happen? Like, I know he's got the contract extension, but that doesn't mean he's going to fulfill it, right?
Well, he may not fulfill the whole thing. In fact, the odds are he won't fulfill the whole thing. But if he was just playing out the string, why would he bother?
You don't want to go into next year being a lame duck. You don't want to get to the end of this season, which will probably be a step backward, right? They were 14-3 a year ago. That's hard to do. So if you get to next year and you're 11-6, it's a weird negotiating situation. It's all the scenarios that I had pointed out to you of, like, it creates this very narrow window for bringing him back. So if you take care of it now, you avoid those, difficult conversations, those awkward moments. But look, they added 3 years to the deal. They tore up 2 and added 3, so it's not a 5-year deal. It's an additional 3. Do I think he'll fulfill all of it? No. Do I think he'll fulfill any of the additional 3 years? I think that remains to be seen. I think odds are he'll still get through this year, maybe next. If they win a Super Bowl, he's walking off into the sunset. So I don't think it changes anything all that much. I think it's just a reward to Sean Payton for, hey, you took over a team that was 5-12. 3 years later, you were 14-3. We're going to go ahead and throw you a few more million. I get that, and I'm not upset about it. I think it's a smart move, but I still think it creates an interesting situation. If Davis Webb is the next Ben Johnson, and he's the hot coordinator, and he's the young guy that's up and coming, and you got a coach that's in his mid-60s, what do you do if you're Greg Penner? I think that's a tricky situation.
I don't think it's that tricky. I don't think it's that tricky at
all.
You're going to get rid of I mean, it depends on what happens.
If you're Detroit and you have a 65-year-old head coach and Ben Johnson is getting, interviews every single year with other teams, and he's going to go to the Bears, a team within your division, and your head coach at that point, it's not Dan Campbell, but it's a 65-year-old guy, you're not in a little bit of a tricky situation. I think that puts him in a conundrum to some extent.
Well, Indiana's a lovely place, so why wouldn't you want to go coach the Indiana Bears? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
exactly.
Let me ask you this. I'm a little conflicted of the Broncos, but I think to be true to myself, I have to get out of my own way, and I have to change my expectation for the Broncos. I'd been and you were there with me a little bit, in certain respects, for the last at least couple years, I've said we got to be fair to the Broncos. It's not fair for Sean Payton to come in here, take over a dumpster fire, and then to automatically be talking about Super Bowl and all this stuff like some of the Kool-Aid drinkers have done. Right? I said you got to give him a little time. He's got to remake the roster, and then you can say the expectations are a lot higher.
Yeah.
And I've done that. The problem is they won 15 games last year. They said we're done. They said we're running this thing back. We're adding Jalen Waddle, a piece or two here or there, but we think we are where we need to be from a roster standpoint. So while I still think they need to add some pieces and weapons, and I think they're from a talent perspective, they shouldn't be really competing to win a Super Bowl. But at the same time, what other expectation can I have? They won 15 games, and they said our roster's set. We got our quarterback, we got our defense, we got everything we need, we got our hotshot coordinators. I guess I have to get past my own analysis and say the expectation should be Super Bowl or Super Bowl win now. Does that make sense?
No, I think it makes total sense. I mean, look, in reality, they got to the AFC title game last year. If the quarterback doesn't get hurt, in the final 4 or 5 plays of the divisional round, they're going to the Super Bowl. So why would it be any step backward this year? And they're a better team this year. Jalen Waddle is a significant addition. I think we all look at it and, it was run it back off season, and we kind of downplay what they did. Like, that's a huge addition. I think that, the one thing they didn't have last year was a big-time playmaker on offense. Now they have it. It's like, okay, you put that into the mix of a team that was 14-3. And again, they hit a lot of green lights last year. They won a lot of one-score games. Like, they're going to be better this year and probably have a worse record. But this team should be 12-5 in that range. They're certainly a playoff team, and when they get in, there's not a team that you look at and say, well, they can't compete with that team in the playoffs. So, yeah, I think it's Super Bowl or bust. Now, is Super Bowl or bust like the Avs, where it's, hey, cup or bust, but if you don't make it, there's no bust? Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but no, it's a Super Bowl caliber team, and I think that's a realistic expectation, and I think that's how we should go into it. I think anything short of going to the Super Bowl this year will be a disappointment. Doesn't mean people get fired. Doesn't mean you trade the quarterback. Doesn't mean you blow it up. But I think it'll be a disappointment if it's anything short of a Super Bowl this year.
I know that Cortland Sutton's a big fan of the Dan Jacobs Show, and I know he loves listening to James Merrillat on the Dan Jacobs Show. It's appointment radio every single week. So, James, knowing that, how do you think Cortland Sutton feels when he hears you say the Broncos had no explosive playmakers last year? What does that say about Cortland Sutton? How do you think he feels?
I mean, does he have a sense of reality, or is he delusional? Like, look, Cortland Sutton's a really good player, but Cortland Sutton's not a receiver that opposing defensive coordinators lie awake at night all week going, oh my God, how are we going to deal with Cortland Sutton? I just don't think that's a situation. So they got a guy now who can take any play and take it 80 yards to the house. Cortland Sutton's not that kind of guy, and I think he would admit that. Again, it's not a knock. It doesn't mean he's not a really good player, but Jalen Waddle is a different kind of receiver. He brings a different dynamic, and I think everybody in that building realizes it. That's why they made the trade, right? Like, Sean Payton knows it, George Payton knows it, Greg Penner knows it, and I would imagine Cortland Sutton knows it.
Of course, you're the big boss for DenverSports.com. I heard a little bit of this before I left, and now there's an article talking about Brendan Stokely doubling down on this. We have our new Jerry Jeudy, James. It's Evan Ingram. Who's our dark horse? Every year, Jerry Jeudy was going to pop out and be a Hall of Famer, and now it's Evan Ingram. Why are we? He was top 5 in the league in drops last year. Of course, he was a disappointment. He was everybody's darling last year, and apparently he's everybody's darling again this year. So that for some reason, going into year 10, he's automatically going, for some reason, because Davis Webb, this beautiful offense that nobody's ever seen before, is going to make a star again out of Evan Ingram, who's had basically a couple good, really nice seasons out of 9 of them, and the rest of the time, he's like the Val Nichushkin of the NFL, right? So what leads us to believe that going into year 10, he's going to get better and healthier and drop less balls and become the new dark horse to emerge as a star for the Denver Broncos? What am I missing?
Well, it's not as though he was bad last year. He wasn't terrible. Like, was he disappointing? I guess so. That's probably the right word for it, but maybe our expectations were too high in year 1, and now year 2, like, okay, he understands the offense more. They understand him more. They'll work him into the system more. But it also feels like at the end of every year, right, like Sean Payton will come out and say, oh, we got to get Marvin Mims more involved. And then we'll all talk about it all offseason. And then we get to the next season, and for 10, 11 weeks, they don't get Marvin Mims involved. And at the end of the year, they do. I feel like it's the same kind of thing. Like, yeah, could Evan Ingram have a big season? Sure. Does he have a ton of talent? Yeah. Do they need to figure out ways to work him into the offense more effectively? Without a doubt. But are they going to? I don't know. Like, again, it's the same thing we see every year with Marvin Mims. So I get where Stoke is going. I do think Evan Ingram is a talented player. We saw a couple of flashes last year. Like the Washington game, he had the big play late in the game or in overtime that, was like, oh, okay, he could take it and make a big play out of a relatively short crossing route. That's what you want to see. But did this coaching staff, and it's the same staff, right? It's just minus Joe Lombardi. Did they figure out ways week after week to create mismatches with Evan Ingram? They did not. So I don't know why that's going to be different this year. I'm expecting Evan Ingram to be exactly what he was a year ago. Anything other than that, like to say he's going to be worse, I think he's just being a hater. To say he's going to be this, dark horse guy is just being overly optimistic. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but we have no evidence to suggest this. Like, they brought back, a bunch of pedestrian tight ends for a reason. That's what Sean Payton likes. He likes that crew. So I think we're going to get from Evan Ingram this year what we got last year, which is okay. It's not great, not terrible. It's just okay.
Okay. He had 1 touchdown, and he was top 5 in the league in drops. And by the way, he had 70 targets. Everybody's missing this. They're acting like, well, he didn't get the opportunities and this and that. He had 70 targets. That's a lot of targets. Does he deserve? Like, this notion that, like, even you just said it. Well, they got to find a way. Why? Why does Evan Ingram get this special superstar treatment where we got to find a way for him? No, most football players, you earn it. You find a way. Not like the very special Jerry Jeudy rules where forever we tried to make this guy into a great player. Why? Why didn't Jerry Jeudy have to earn it like everybody else? I don't get it.
Well, I guess what I mean by that is, was there a single game last year where you're like, oh, man, they really drew something up creative there to create a mismatch for Evan Ingram? No. Like, I can remember multiple plays they did for Nate Atkins where he's on the right side of the line. He blocks to his right and then releases late coming all the way across the field. They throw him the ball and he ends up getting a touchdown. It's like, well-designed play. That's a Nate Atkins play. They didn't do anything last year where you're like, that was specifically an Evan Ingram design play. So I'm with you. 70 targets sounds like a lot, but it's also 4 a game. 4 targets a game. Like, okay. I mean, if he's your tight end that you think can be a difference maker, 4 targets a game isn't going to get it done. So I'm somewhere in the middle on this. I'm not as bullish on Evan Ingram as Stoke is. I'm also not as bearish on him as you are. I think we're going to get the same kind of year, which was fine. And he's a guy that, if they did something more creative with him, could he be more productive? Yeah, but does he warrant them being more creative with him? Perhaps not. I think you make a valid point on that.
And by the way, we're agreeing. So that's the funny thing is I agree. He's probably going to be what he was last year. What I'm confused about is this notion that some guy going into his 10th year in the league is going to be something he hasn't been. right? Because that's what we're saying. We're saying, well, he's going to be.
Right,
We're going to add
right.
Jalen Waddle to the mix. We're going to develop the young guys that we want to develop as well. But all of a sudden, Evan Ingram also is just going to pop in a way that is not him. It'd be like saying, well, Val Nichushkin, they got to find a way to get Val Nichushkin, off next year. They have to. Why? Val Nichushkin is who he is. He's Evan Ingram. But we want to believe there's something different because they have in the past shown flashes, therefore they deserve something, they're entitled to something. But James, I agree, he's probably going to be about what he was last year, which is mediocre to disappointing. But that's all right. I'm just saying, why are we acting like he's going to be something better? What evidence do you have to say he's going to be more? That's all.
No, I think that's fair, and I think at this point in his career, that he is what he is, right? And look, I have my things about Sean Payton that I'm critical of. I also think he's a very smart football coach, and I think if he looked at it and said, man, Evan Ingram is a difference maker, they would be smart enough to figure out how to let him go be a difference maker. So the fact that they didn't do things with him creatively, I don't think it's because they just didn't have the notion in their head that they should do it. I just think they looked at it and said, hey, there's better options this week, right? Is it Cortland? Is it Troy? Is it Marvin? What is it RJ? Like, what should we do to create a mismatch? And Evan Ingram just never really came to the top of the list. I think that's probably the situation. So, yeah, I think you and I very much are on the same page. He is what he is. Not a bad player, not a guy you don't want to have on your roster, not a guy that you don't want to have be a part of your offense, but he's also not somebody that's, going to go out there and we're going to look at it and say, man, he's redefining the tight end position. That's just not happening.
All right. Thanks, James Marilat. Have a great Father's Day in your travels to the Marilat compound. You're going to be out there the whole week?
Yep. Be heading back here a week from now. So when I'm talking to you next week, I'll be in Vegas again.
All right. Sounds good. James Marilat, we appreciate you. Anybody wants to react to that, either on the Champ Honda YouTube chat line or the RamosLaw.com text line, your chance coming up next.
2 arrests, felony charges, excused from minicamp. Jonathan Cooper's future in Denver has never been more uncertain. Is it fair to think it's over for him in Denver?
There's some moments where I'm like, man, at the end of the day, if the law and the league don't take him off the Denver Broncos, are the Denver Broncos going to be the ones to say, this is our new standard? Yeah. And despite us giving you a $60 million contract and being a huge part of our defense, you're still gone? I just keep going back and forth. If I had to choose right now, I think he's done as a Bronco.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Jacob's Law, 303-LAW-4040, 303-LAW-4040, where you call, when you call 303-LAW-4040, you don't get some answering service or a call center overseas. You speak directly with me or my lovely wife, Kimberly, which is funny because actually last week when we were out of town, you spoke to our Darth Vader lawyer, Chris. But my wife, she's back in the office tomorrow. I'm back in the office tomorrow, and she just can't wait. She loves helping clients when they're in a little bit of a tough spot because they're hurting. They were hurt by somebody else, not paying attention on the road, and she just loves serving our clients. So she can't wait to get back into the office. So if you call this week, guess who you're going to talk to? Either her or myself. And that's what we'll do. We'll come up with a plan to help you while you're hurting. We're not another thing is people feel guilty about having to call 303-LAW-4040. There's no guilt attached. It doesn't make you a bad person. What you're doing is you're protecting yourself. You're getting answers to your questions, and we'll come up with a plan to get you feeling better. And then we'll make sure that the insurance companies do what they're supposed to do. And then we'll get you feeling better, get a little money in your pocket on the way out. All right. Jacob's Law. I hope you never need it, but save that number in your phone just in case. 303-LAW-4040.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2026 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid. I
could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Done right kitchens, baths, counters and floors, finished basements, windows and doors. Our 8% scheduling incentive and bank financing to ask about make a great time to call 800-362-8370 or drhi.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Rain on game day doesn't faze Dave. He's already got his poncho. Just needs to do something about those wipers. So Dave heads to AutoZone,
Welcome to AutoZone.
where a friendly AutoZoner helps him get premium quiet wipers and some hand warmers.
You're all set.
Now, if only his team can handle the elements as well as his new wipers. Get wipers, glass cleaner, and more with no hassles, just help at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Every hunt tells a story. Let Ties Taxidermy in Loveland bring yours back to life. Big game, birds, fish skin mounts, and reproduction. Expert detail since 2001. Call 970-669-1119 or visit tiestaxidermy.com.
Walmart is proud to sponsor the Be a Mentor, Be a Fan football camp in partnership with 104.3 The Fan. Walmart is helping to invest in the next generation by bringing together Broncos alumni on-air hosts and South High School football coaches for a one-of-a-kind camp experience, benefiting Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Colorado, because every young person deserves encouragement, guidance, and the chance to reach their full potential. Walmart proudly supports Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Colorado and their mission to build life-changing mentoring relationships for kids across our community.
You're listening to the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
All right, happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. Did some good stuff with Kyle and Cello earlier. They were talking about things you remember, sporting events you remember going with as your dad as a kid, things like that. So anything you want on Fathers, go ahead. Feel free to fire away on the RamosLaw.com text line. What are you doing for Father's Day, Sean?
I am going to I thought I was going to go bowl in the ABT tournament today, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to hang out, man. The grass is already cut in the backyard, so I don't have to do any yard work today. So it's just going to be a laid-back day, man. Just chill. I'm going to call my son, talk to him for a minute, have a critical conversation.
Oh, no, not on Father's Day.
No, not in a bad way.
Okay.
It's a critical conversation because it's vital. Let me use a better words. Have a vital conversation. You know what I mean? I think he just called me, actually. So I'm very surprised to see that he called. Now Dad is in maybe a little bit better mood. And we'll just see how it all works out.
So, yeah, you were very cranky that first segment. Like, what's going on, man?
Dan, I got to be real with you. Having a father is like a premium, right? And so I'm one of those guys that's like the in between. Like I had a dad, then I didn't have a dad, then I had a father, then I didn't have a father. Mm-hmm. So it's when you start talking about moments and when you remember and you reflect back on, I'm reaching down deep into a tub of memories that aren't there. So it's kind of it's like a bittersweet day for me.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting thing I will say about that, because I kind of felt where you're going and I could feel a little emotion there. I don't know that any of our parents were the parents we wanted them to be, right? I have an estranged relationship with my own father. Now, luckily for me, I was pretty much raised by his father. And he was my grandfather, who's unfortunately been passed away for 20 years now, but was the greatest influence in my life. And I'm grateful for that. But Tony Robbins has a really good way of looking at this. And he had done this. He does these interventions. They're fascinating because people, they go to his events and then they stand up because they're either suicidal or they're having an issue or whatever. And he kind of talks them through it. But this also rings true for him as well. But he was talking to this young lady, and she really had issues with her dad. And her mom was sitting right there next to her at this event. And Tony's talking to her, and he's like, well, what would have happened how are you today? And she basically had lived her life on fire to be something better. And it was the same thing with Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins' mother was a drug addict, and an alcoholic, and when she drank, she got abusive. And nobody wants that when you're growing up, right? That's traumatic to you when you're a kid. But he said, as a result of that, I became the man I am today. There's no way I would be the man I am today. I wouldn't have had this drive. I wouldn't have had this instinct to protect my siblings and then work hard to make myself who I am today. So if she would have been the mom I wanted, I wouldn't have become who I am. She was the mom I needed, not the mom I wanted. And I think if you look hard enough, I know it's not true for everybody, but and I know it's the same thing with my dad. Like, my dad showed me what not to do, who not to be, right? And my grandfather showed me who to be. So if you can find a way to maybe look at it in that lens, if your dad was mean or he wasn't there or whatever, well, what good came of it, right? There's probably, if you look close enough, there's good, and he may have been the dad that you needed, not the dad that you wanted.
Yeah, no, I'm comfortable with that, man. At this tender age we're at, sir, I don't make any excuses today. So, I feel good. I think I'm more or less inspired today to do better in the form of actually like creating my own traditions with my own children.
Yeah.
Before, you know what I mean? Something creative. So I don't know. Maybe if the text line could give me some ideas on like a creative tradition to start with your kids, let's hear about it.
Well, you had said that your lawn is done. It's looking good. Maybe
I didn't say it was looking good. It's cut though.
So if you want maybe a tradition, you could bring your kids over to my house and serve others, right? So every Father's Day, you could come to my house and do the yards and landscaping.
Oh, you need somebody to come cut the yards for you.
Cut the yard. I need some of that. What do they call it? Flashing.
Now,
that
I
landscaping
heard, Dan,
stuff. Yeah.
that you have the size of a yard that you need a lawnmower that you can actually sit on and ride.
No. Actually, no, not at all. I'm glad I have a postage stamp backyard. It's just enough for the dog to run around. Now the front yard, is a little more work, but no, I don't have a massive yard at all. No, not at all. So, but that's good. That's good. Happy Father's Day, Judge. My dad would drive me to Fort Collins 5 to 6 days a week from Broomfield for lacrosse in middle school, and then from Broomfield to Mullen High School until I could take care of myself. I still remember those car rides. Yeah, in fact, that's what I remember, like being in the car with my grandpa. And that's why I later went into real estate, because he was a real estate man. And just those conversations. In fact, I was telling the reason I'm in, probably one of the biggest reasons I'm in sports radio is a pretty cool story. I've told it before, but hey, what the heck? It's Father's Day. Why not? Sean, you're probably going to kick out of the story as well.
I'm listening.
So my grandpa taught me to love Kentucky basketball. He grew up in Kentucky. He played at Western Kentucky, and we bonded over basketball. And he was going to put me one year in the Bill Hanslick basketball camp. Right? And it was over at Metro State. It was a blast. But we wanted to figure out, this was no internet back in those days, no cell phones, anything like that. So he goes, all right, well, I'm going to call the Nuggets. So he calls up the Denver Nuggets. And this was probably, 1989, 1990. They were not good. Not a good organization. And he calls the Nuggets, calls the front desk or whatever, and he says, hey, I'm looking for information on the Bill Hanslick youth basketball camp. And they said, oh, well, we're sorry. We can't give you that information because we are sponsoring the Michael Adams basketball camp. And my grandpa says, well, okay. I mean, can you give us both? And I actually did go to both. Like, my grandpa sent me to both camps. And so he says, just give me the information for both, if you don't mind. And they said, no, we're sorry. We're not going to do that. He said, what do you mean you're not going to do that? It's terrible. Sorry. And then he hung up the phone, piping mad. And he says, all right, you know what happens here? We're calling Irvin Joe. They all listen to Irvin Joe. And so he calls Irvin Joe and gets on the line. He's like, you know what the Nuggets just did to us? And Irvin Joe ripped the Nuggets a new one. And then my grandpa and I get in the car and we drive around. We do our things for the day. We come home. And on the answering machine, it's the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets said, Mr. Jacobs, we're sorry. And by the way, they had to find our number. I don't know if they went to the Yellow Pages or whatever, but we didn't leave our number. My grandpa was so mad he hung up on him. So somebody from Irvin Joe, I don't know if it was Bernie Bickerstaff or Dan Issel, but they were in their office over there, probably at the time it was McNichols, and they went, oh my God, and they made it right. And they went down to the front desk, and they called, and they said, Mr. Jacobs, we're so sorry. Here's the information on both camps, and we apologize. That was the wrong thing to do. And I ended up going to both camps. It was pretty fun. And that was when my grandfather taught me just how special it can be, how fun sports radio, the power of sports radio. And I then would call into Irvin Joe and try and sneak through swear words and prank calls and stuff like that. That's how I got my start in radio and things like that. So, yeah, good memory. Just driving around, listening to Irvin Joe and K-Big and later The Fan with my grandpa. Good stuff. Good memories here on Father's Day. All right, coming up next, I heard something that was interesting. Has Bo Nix been disrespected, and does Jalen Waddle just automatically sprinkle fairy dust and add 10 to 15 touchdowns to Bo Nix's totals next year, making him an MVP? Let's discuss it next.
Parents, looking for a fun way to get your kid active this summer?
Are you kidding me?
DenverSports 104.3 The Fan's third annual Be a Mentor, Be a Fan Youth Football Camp is back. Brought to you by Walmart. Saturday, June 27th at Denver South High School's All-City Stadium. Your child, ages 8 to 14, will learn the fundamentals of football in a safe, hands-on environment from people who played the game at the highest level. We're talking former Denver Broncos Mark Schlereth, Philip Lindsay, and Brandon Stokely, along with a trusted coaching staff from Denver South. And every dollar raised goes to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Colorado. So your family is giving back just by showing up. Sign up today at DenverSports.com/camp. That's DenverSports.com/camp.
DeerTrailMeatCo.com, DeerTrailMeatCo.com. Talk about a great father, Travis Valine, the owner of DeerTrailMeatCo.com. I know him personally, just such a great dude. You know what he did last year? He saved an entire airline. He was on a flight. Some lady lost her mind, went to go open the door to the airplane. He tackled her, and him and another passenger held her down until they could do an emergency landing on the plane. That's the type of guy he is. What a nice guy Travis is, and a good dad. And he took his kids fishing with Terry Wickstrom one time. Cool guy. And the thing about Father's Day is it's one of those holidays, right, where you want to make special memories that you can, take with you for forever. And one of the ways you do that is with good food. A good way to do that is to have Deer Trail Meat Co. deliver delicious beef and pork to your front door with a money-back guarantee. I said Travis Valine's a great guy. One of the things that's great about him, he'll give you your money back. You don't have to argue with him. If you're not happy, he'll just give you your money back. Now, you're going to be happy. You're not going to need that, but it's there just so you can buy with peace of mind. Check out the website, DeerTrailMeatCo.com. That's DeerTrailMeatCo.com.
If you're practicing real estate in Denver but still not getting the results you want, listen up. Agents who are winning in this market aren't guessing. They've got the right training, the right systems, and the right support. And that's exactly what you get at Weichert Realtors Professionals. Proven strategies to win more listings, technology that keeps you connected anywhere, and coaching that actually helps you close. Take your business to the next level. Call Tim Davis at Weichert Realtors Professionals at 303-302-4000. Each Weichert franchised office is independently owned and operated.
Running a small business means juggling a lot. Your network has to handle it all. That's where a fiber-only provider falls short. You deserve a partner who gives you a greater advantage. Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A first-ever combination of the largest, fastest fiber-powered network, the most reliable Wi-Fi, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. Plus, it's all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. The Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A new standard for small business with reliability, security, and savings in one. When you add it all up, no one does business like Comcast Business.
Switch today. Get started for $60 a month for 12 months when you add an advanced solution to a qualifying internet package. Limited time offer. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet, security edge, and additional qualifying service. 1-year agreement, paperless billing, and autopay with bank account required. Taxes and fees extra. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
When you've been hurt after a traumatic car crash, you don't need a sales pitch from an attorney with big promises and a loud voice. You need a team who fights for real results fast. That's why so many across the country choose the Berg Simpson Law Firm. Berg Simpson is nationally recognized but is local right here in Colorado. So give us a call and let our team fight for the results you deserve today.
If you've been injured, call Berg Simpson for free now at 303-790-2525. BergSimpson.com. Good lawyers changing lives.
Switching your account numbers is hard. Being forced to switch, even worse. That's why at Belco Credit Union, we want to pay you to switch. From June 1st to August 31st, we're offering a $300 bonus when you open a new checking account with a qualifying direct deposit of $500 or more. They changed your account number. You can change who you bank with. Go to belco.org/switch for full offer details. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required. Conditions and restrictions apply. Belco. Banking for everyone.
Hey, it's Mike Evans. With all these Bluebird days in Colorado, enjoy the view through energy-efficient windows from Bluebird Windows and Doors. All June, it's their Buy More, Save More event. Save up to 20% on your window and door projects. And when you mention you heard it from me, you'll save an extra 5%. Bluebird's family-owned, serving the Front Range for over a decade, with windows, doors, and siding built for Colorado's harsh climate. Financing available. Visit gobluebirdco.com. Bluebird Windows and Doors. Make today a Bluebird day.
It's the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan.
All right, another segment here, the Dan Jacobs Show. Somebody says, hey, Judge, just want to say Happy Father's Day. Another one says, Judge, I just want to add Happy Grandfather's Day. Also seeing my grandpa smile just because we were driving together would always make my day. Yeah. Like I said, my grandpa was my mentor, and we spent every day together. Every day. He'd come in. Even so, I grew up with him in Florida, and then we moved here, and then I eventually moved back in with my mom, but my grandpa picked me up every day after school. He just, for him, it was kind of a thing where he was a very successful businessman, but I think a lot of that came at the expense of time with his kids. And I was the very last of all of his grandkids and all that stuff. So by the time I rolled around, I think he had a little bit of, I want to do this one different.
Yeah, he had a lot of compassion for you.
Yeah, so he poured himself
in his mistakes.
He poured himself into me, and I thought that was really cool. Now but I was thinking of this during the break. A funny story about my grandpa. Well, two. They're a little morbid, but they're also kind of funny. So he towards the end there. He actually fell. He broke his hip. He got sick, and he was initially he was in the hospital. And so I go to see him. And by the way, my family calls me Todd. It's a long story. My middle name's Todd. My family calls me Todd. Don't ask, right? So he's there, but he's having hallucinations. And he says, he looked at me and he blinked, and he was really, I saw this extreme confusion on his face. He goes, but you're up there. I see you fighting the Crusades. It's Todd fighting the Crusades. And you're battling Scott Hastings. I'm like, what? Grandpa, what are they giving you? What do you want? So in his, the throes of whatever he was going through, he's having these hallucinations, and he thought I was, in medieval times, battling Scott Hastings for some reason, which, by the way, congratulations to Scott on a wonderful career as, talk about being a fabric of our neighborhood. I remember being that guy in 5th grade, seeing Scott Hastings still as a player waving his towel and running down the court when they, hit a shot at the buzzer to win the final game of the season. Scott Hastings, well done by you, sir. Now, the other funny story, but it's kind of morbid, Sean, about my grandfather is, so obviously he passed away, but he went into a nursing home eventually. And I went to go see him, and I said, well, hey, Grandpa, how you doing? He goes, oh, man, not too good. I'm dying. I go, you dying? What's wrong? Your stomach hurt? You need something? He's like, no, I'm actually dying. I go, what do you mean, right now? He goes, yeah, right now, I'm dying, this minute. I'm like, what? He was, in fact, if you don't mind, can you leave? Like, what do you mean, leave? He's like, I don't want you here. I'm like, oh, Grandpa. And so I go and I sit down, and he kind of writhes a little bit or whatever. And then he looks over at me. He goes, hey, man, what are you doing? I said, no, I'm just hanging out. He goes, I told you to leave. I don't want you here. And he starts yelling at me. I go, Grandpa, you're not dying. He's like, I'm dying. Get out of here. I go, okay, well, I love you. I'll see you later, I guess. And so I go to leave, and I stop by the nurse's station, and I say, hey, I don't know what to do here. My grandpa says he's dying. Can you check on him or whatever? And she said, yeah, no problem. So I leave. Don't hear anything back. I come back the next day. He's perfectly fine. I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? He's like, oh, good, good. I was like, do you remember me coming by yesterday? He's like, yeah, I remember. I'm like, so what happened? He's like, well, I guess I was wrong. I wasn't dying. I'm like, yeah, but you threw me out. You said you were dying. He's like, well, I don't know what you want me to say, Todd. I thought I was dying. Sue me. So we get into this funny little argument about the fact he wasn't dead. Now, the morbid part was he did pass away, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 days later. But I don't know. I kind of got a kick out of that. But I cherish. The only thing is, Sean, talking about, the you get a little emotional as because I was the youngest. I got the benefit of him being there through my formative years, basically through high school. And then he passed away as I was, a young man, married and stuff like that. So all these things that have happened in my life since, man, I every once in a while it's like, man, I wish Grandpa were here. Man, what I wouldn't give, to talk to Grandpa, or the fact that my grandmother who passed away before him didn't get to meet my lovely wife Kimberly, and Kim actually wears her ring, my grandmother's ring now. So anyway, fond memories. We're going down memory lane if you want to share that stuff.
But Dan, you had teased to us that Bo Nix had been slighted at some point. I need to hear what was going on. What happened?
By the way, though, did I share too much? Somebody says some stories should be kept to yourself. Was it too morbid?
Now, that part I'm not going to speak to. But
all right. So Bo Nix.
I want to know what happened with Guy.
Yeah. So Bo Nix, I'm listening to Chad and John doing the morning show on Friday as we're filling in for Juneteenth. And they're talking about Bo Nix MVP chances. Should he been considered as an MVP last season? And should he be considered an MVP this season? And I liked the way Chad responded. Chad said, no. What evidence do you have to support your notion that Bo Nix is an MVP other than hope and optimism? Which hope and optimism are fine as a fan, but nobody in their right mind right now. Now, he had a very nice season. He had good stats, and they won 15 games. And if he doesn't get hurt, they probably go to the Super Bowl. It's not a slight on Bo Nix to say he's not the league MVP yet, but we really don't have anything to say. He's in that conversation. Most people, if you ask them throughout the year last year, they had him in the top 15 or 20. Now, I would expect him, if his career continues to progress, I would say he should definitely be, by the end of next year, be in the top 10. I don't know that I necessarily ever see Bo Nix as an MVP guy. Maybe he is, but he just seems more to me of a really good quarterback leader that you can trust, that will make some plays when you need them. And maybe I'm wrong, because at times last year he did just put the team on his back. I'm looking at the Giants game, a lot of those games they came back, and yeah, he was kind of not very good at all. He was kind of John Elway-esque for a while there, right? Like not very good at all for three and a half quarters, and then just find that magic in the fourth quarter. I worry that they're not going to have that same magic coming this season when you have that many close calls. But hey, maybe Jalen Waddle comes in. Sean, you're a former professional wide receiver. In fact, I'll ask you that when we get to this other part of the question, which is Jalen Waddle. We don't have time to get into it this second, but is Jalen Waddle is he the magic fairy dust that's going to make Bo Nix's numbers explode? Because that was another thing that John and Chad were talking about. But
I've been listening all week, Dan, and I got to be honest with you. There's a hint of delusion running around this station. And
well, you know what? We got to do Jonathan Cooper next because we have Jeff Wolf from Wolf Law, Colorado, coming up. So we're going to do a little bit, because that was the other thing that surprised me when I got back. I hear the promos were running. I think Jonathan Cooper had gotten into trouble before I left, and I think he got into trouble while I was gone, and then he got in trouble again. I did not expect people like the promo we're running right now is Zach thinks Jonathan Cooper's a goner. So let's go into it. We're actually going to dive a little bit deeper into legal stuff. There's still with Jonathan Cooper that we can get into next, and then Is he going to be around? Is he not going to be around? And later in the show, do you care if a guy is a choir boy or not? Second hour of the Dan Jacobs Show coming up next.
3 years ago, the Broncos were a laughingstock. Now, back-to-back playoffs, 32 wins, and an ownership group spending like they mean it. Now Cecil's ready to say what Broncos country is thinking.
The greatest bit of news and information that I can provide today for you is merely this. Greg Penner is inevitable. Greg Penner is undeniable. Greg Penner and the Walton Penner Group and the Denver Broncos are going to be a dynasty. They just are. That sort of businessman, that sort of business people do is they excel.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Don't miss the Tree Farm's Father's Day sale. Now through Father's Day. Save on thousands of trees, shrubs, perennials, vines, berries, and more. Now get up to 30% off all sizes of pine, spruce, fir, and upright juniper trees, including 6-year-old, 4 to 5 foot tall Bosnian pine trees, now only $279.99 each at the Tree Farm. Now through Father's Day. Come see.
You take I-25 to exit 235, then 5 miles west to the Tree Farm.
Colorado, it's time to take our recycling to the next level. That's why Recyclon Colorado is bringing you more curbside and drop-off service from peaks to prairies. Guidelines as clear as our skies, so you know what goes where. And the price? As free as gawking at bighorns on I-70. You deserve a recycling system you can count on, like your puffiest winter coat. And we're here to give it to you. Learn more at recyclon.org/Colorado.
Progressive's accident response can detect and send help when you need it most, after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's accident response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
This summer, the Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich and Pineapple Dragon Fruit and Sprite are back at Chick-fil-A.
Let me tell you about the Pineapple Dragon Fruit and Sprite. It's bright, it's bubbly, it's back.
The Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich, it's so rich, and you can choose between the original or the spicy filet.
Ooh, boy.
And then you got those pickled jalapenos tucked right under the filet, and then just to top it all off, you've got a little honey drizzle right on top.
Okay, now I'm a pimento fan.
And I'm feeling the dragon fruit.
Which fan favorite will you choose? Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for just anybody. Oh no, we made it for you. Gradual breakers. You keep your eyes on the road, so you've seen it all. As long as it all happened directly in front of you, like a Swedish masseuse, your foot knows exactly the right amount of pressure to apply to the brake. That's why your passengers feel totally relaxed with you behind the wheel and occasionally super sleepy. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Mike Rowe here with another random fact. Those cracks on your walls aren't just cosmetic. They could mean your home is sinking. Whether it's drywall cracks, exterior cracks, or sticking doors or windows, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to stabilize your foundation. Schedule a free inspection with Groundworks, the foundation and waterproofing experts.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
All right, Broncos country, listen up. Philip Lindsay here. And for stress-free summer travel, I chose Hermes Worldwide. Forget the airport chaos. Hermes Worldwide offers comfortable, reliable transportation for your airport transfers and more. They're dependable, they're professional, so you can focus on your vacation. Make your summer travel easy. Give them a call today at 303-577-7600, or you can visit them online at ridehermes.com/DenverSports. Again, that's ridehermes.com/DenverSports to book your next ride today.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
In the backyard that I was able to throw a no-hitter in Little League. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that. Yeah, in fact, that was, with my grandpa. See, I was not like Sean Boyd over here. Popped out of the womb like a superstar athlete. In fact, I was the worst kid on my Little League team. In fact, when I played in Florida, it was me and then there was a girl, April, right? And in Little League, everybody's got to get in the game for at least an inning or two, right? And then they're always trying to find a way to get us in the game, right? And then my grandpa's like, you know what, we're gonna do something about that. And then he would just take me every day to the batting cages. He says, the only way you're gonna get better is to see a lot of pitches. And then, boom, 1 year it worked. Like I went from worst on the team to, I don't know if I was the best on the team, but I was right up there. I was, one of the best on the team, and that was because Grandpa knew what to do, man. Love Grandpa. All right, the Jonathan Cooper thing. I was surprised when I got back into town and I heard now they're talking about cutting him. The promo, at least, that Zach By says, I think his days as a Bronco, maybe not cutting him, maybe they trade him, I don't know, but maybe getting him out of town, which is funny because I know we were doing shows. I don't remember why it came up, but before I left, somebody was making the argument that the Walton Penner Group will only have character guys on. Somebody else did later say, well, actually, if you listen, they did say that they took some guys off their draft board because of maybe some off-the-field issues, which is probably a good thing. But I remember doing a segment about, well, does it matter? Because I was telling you, Sean, as Raider fan, we always get on Raider fan about how dirty, cheaters the Raiders are. Yet, when the Broncos had their defense rolling with the no-fly zone and all that stuff, Broncos, the rest of the league was calling the Broncos dirty, and I didn't hear nary a word from Broncos country about how it was a problem.
Sounds a little biased to me, but go.
So we thought, okay, well, but there was some truth to the fact that you don't hear a lot with this current roster of Broncos getting into too much trouble until Jonathan Cooper. And Jonathan Cooper had a domestic incident where him and his wife, I was actually reading more of it today. You know what it reminded me of, Sean? It was like Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, y'all. It was because that's kind of how it went down, was according to the affidavit in the articles that his girl, Jonathan Cooper's girl, was questioning him about infidelities, and she grabbed his phone, and that's when stuff went down, right? Stuff went down, it got ugly, and both of them were arrested. And but for taking each other's phones. By the way, just so you know, a little bit of advice: taking somebody's phone that you're in a relationship with is a no-no. It's not legal, and you can get in serious trouble for that.
Now, did I read right? Not only did he take her phone, but did he try and eat the phone?
Yeah, he bit the phone.
Oh, my God.
The language did say ate the phone, which I'm sure he didn't swallow it. You see those freaky people on, Discovery Channel that, eat, I don't know, building blocks and things. I don't think he swallowed the phone, but I think what he did was he bit it to try and break it or something like that. That's a no-no. You can't do that. Things got a little physical. It's a bad situation between those two.
See, what this reminds me of, this situation, is he compounded a bad situation by making it worse. He put himself into the fire. Well, now he's in the limelight, right, for the wrong reasons. And then after getting in trouble, getting out of jail, being dismissed from practice, all the good, fun things that have transpired after his first altercation, he went back to the well for more.
What if he didn't, though?
As if he didn't learn his lesson.
No, hold on. What if he didn't do anything wrong?
Now, if he didn't do anything wrong, that's fine. But you also know in a probationary period, Dan, you got to stay away until the dust settles.
Well, he doesn't know that. Maybe he says he did not know that.
Well, luckily for him, you know, there are great defense attorneys like yourself out there that'll be able to pull him out of a rut. But respectfully, his days are numbered.
Well, let me ask the question. Because the reason when I left, people were like, that's not good. But I think he actually came out to practice a little bit, and they excused him. But the reason I hear promos about him being a goner when I got back was because of the second arrest. And because there's been a rush to judgment on the second arrest.
Don't get arrested the second time. That's the problem.
You think he asked to get arrested?
Well, I think
they came to his house and got him. So
they just said, you know what? Did the lady report that he had did something again?
Does that make it true?
No, I'm just asking. I'm asking.
What is alleged is that he continued to text her. He was treating it as, if you believe what's alleged, that they had a fight, they're in a relationship, and he was still, he was still in a relationship with this person, right? Now, she's saying there was a protective order and a no contact order. And now we're all rushing to judgment saying if he violated a no contact order, he's a very bad person.
See, I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm saying
he's in trouble, or he can't earn a living here anymore, and his $60 million contract should be in jeopardy now because of this. But what if he didn't do anything wrong? We're all assuming he did something wrong. Now, the allegations are not that he went there to murder her or to smack her around or to intimidate her into not talking to the cops. There's no allegations of that. There's allegations that he simply was continuing to contact her, and he went over to the apartment and he knocked on the door. There was, from what I've seen, in fact, he was trying to kind of make up. Now, I know a lot of people are perfect out there, but a lot of us have had fights and made up with people. I'm not saying, I don't know, but what I'm saying is, if in fact he was allowed to contact her, or there was confusion about it, are people going to apologize to him? Is his reputation going to be restored?
I don't think his reputation will be restored because of the first initial incident. Where we sit today, though, Dan, is that he was told by the NFL, they got people in place that give him great information after an incident takes place. There's a lot of good coaching off the field that takes place that says, hey, walk this line, do these things, do not contact her, leave her be, and let's hope that you don't get suspended by the NFL first, right? Let's hope that the allegations that happened from the initial confrontation, prove that you're innocent because he pled not guilty. So he's in a situation where, like I said, I got caught doing something one time. I got put on punishment, and while I'm on punishment, I'm sitting in the room across from my mom's room. And I know that the Halloween candy's in her closet. I go in there and try to go get some of the Halloween candy while I'm already on punishment.
Why would you do that?
Oh, my gosh.
What do you mean? You mean you're not perfect?
She comes around the corner, Dan, and I'm coming out of her room. She says, Sean, what's that in your hand? And I said, what, this? Oh, it's a Snickers, right? So I just made the problem worse. So, while he may not have been doing anything but something innocent in contacting the lady, he just made the situation worse.
Well, he didn't help himself. And if you don't mind, give Jeff Wolf a call. Just a second here. We're going to have Jeff Wolf from Wolf Law, Colorado. We've had him on the show before. In fact, we had him on the show when Von Miller got into a little bit of trouble down in Parker. And we had his thoughts on that. You've seen him on Court TV if you watch Court TV and things like that. A friend of mine, but also the guy, a lot of times people call 303 Law 4040. I used to be a defense attorney. I haven't done that in several years now. So if you call 303 Law 4040 and you say, hey man, I'm in some trouble here. I got a DUI or I got this or that. Can you help me out? Oftentimes I'll say no, but here's what you want to do. Go to wolflawcolorado.com. See if you can get a hold of Jeff Wolf as we have right now. Jeff, welcome to the program. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I know you looked into it a little bit. What are your initial thoughts on what's going on with Jonathan Cooper?
I think Jonathan is in a little bit more trouble than we would like to see at Denver Bronco as training camp is getting ready to get underway.
Okay. Well, that's because you don't want to see them in any trouble, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, people get in trouble from time to time, but the last thing you want to see is a felony that carries 2 to 8 years.
Okay, so you look at the charges, and yes, he's right now charged with a felony that has a potential. It's also, is it probation eligible?
It is probation eligible.
Okay.
All second-degree assaults are now.
Yeah.
Used to not be, but now they are.
Okay, so it's also probation eligible. He could get probation. But also, as you know, obviously, you do this every day. Oftentimes, they'll charge a lot so they can get you to plead to something else. So when you look at the set of charges, and it's tough because I'm asking you this, and we don't know. We don't know all the facts. We don't know. We know what's been alleged. And even then, we just have a bare minimum of facts that has kind of trickled out there. But if you had a client that wasn't Jonathan Cooper and he came into your office and all you did was look at the charge sheet and you saw these charges, what goes through your mind as his defense attorney?
Well, the first thing that goes through my mind is making sure that they don't violate the protection order, don't go back, keep distance from the other party involved, which obviously is something that in some way, shape, or form happened here. And so that is probably my biggest concern here is what the heck happened that he was not properly advised or didn't listen to his attorney. One of those two things happened, because regardless of what the protection order said in this case, which is a little hard to discern when they have 3 protection orders that have now been consolidated into one, something went wrong. Either he didn't listen or he wasn't told properly.
Right. And that's what his attorney, Harvey personally, Harvey Steinberg, that's what he argued in court. He said there was no non-contact order. I haven't seen it. I'm curious as to whether the language was not, because a minimum order, am I right, Jeff? A minimum order is going to, at a minimum, say, do not harass, intimidate, molest, things of that nature. And there's a separate box that says also, because there's all these boxes of conditions that get checked. And one of those boxes may be no contact. And maybe maybe that wasn't checked on this order. Do you think that might be happening? Or because Harvey's in the paper saying there was no contact order, or it was reported that he said that in court.
It's hard to believe that Harvey Steinberg would stand up as an officer of the court of really an impeccable reputation and say that there was not a no contact provision in this protection order if he's lying. I don't envision him doing that. But there's always box 1, no harass, molest, intimidate. That's always going to be in there. And then there's otherwise tamper with, right? And so if he went over there and committed these alleged other offenses at the time, it's a violation of the protection order regardless. And it's one of the main reasons that I tell my clients to be extremely careful, even if a no contact provision has been lifted in a case. I say, you have to really consider whether you actually want to have contact with this person while this case is going on, because if you do, you could open yourself up at any time. This is already a volatile relationship, and this person has already shown them to be volatile and not on your side by the mere fact that the police are in your life. And so you have to be extremely careful. Well, and that's what I'm talking about when I say you have to properly advise your client.
Right. And you advise your clients of that, like I've advised my clients of that. Now, I can tell you my experience with people that are in a relationship and something like this happens, but I'm going to ask you, is it uncommon for people in a relationship to still have contact after, even though they both know that one of them can get in trouble if the court finds out?
Oh, it's completely common for people, whether the protection order says they are allowed to or not, to have contact. And anybody that doesn't think that, I got a bridge to sell you.
Right. Well, but I don't think the public, so the public at large hears he violated the no contact order and they don't have experience with it. They haven't been at the podium like you and I have, and you have to tell your client, be quiet, you're about to admit you're violating the order, right? Because it may be one of those where we try and get the order changed or whatever, right? We want to get part of the no contact lifted, but I don't think the average listener knows that. So when they hear he made contact, and again, to reiterate, it's not uncommon for people in relationships to have these incidents and still go around the order, correct?
No, it's not common. It's not uncommon at all. And the thing that people really need to understand about this circumstance is potentially at the time when he's alleged to have done this, there were mutual no contact orders in place where he had a no contact order as well, potentially, or at least a protection order that prevented some contact or some conduct on her part as well. And the DA's office has now picked a dog in the fight and dismissed her case, as Harvey has so astutely pointed out, as the female part of this. They have gone after the male. Now, whether the racial component that Harvey's alleging is part of it, I don't know. But certainly to see them go after the male and let the female go is extremely common, because if they go after both of them at once, it's going to be really hard for a jury to come down and say who they think is the worst.
Right. Well, and why do you think they did that?
Well, I think they did that because they need to be going after one party rather than both at the same time, so that both attorneys can't just point the finger at the other side. And if they're going to do it, the gender bias in domestic violence prosecutions is insanely slanted towards prosecuting the males. And that doesn't mean that statistically males are more likely to commit domestic violence. It is true that they are. But at the same time, females absolutely commit domestic violence against males. And so to make a decision within a week that Jonathan Cooper is the problem and not his, female counterpart is a bit of a knee-jerk reaction by a DA's office who is very, very known for knee-jerk reactions.
By the way, I was shocked. Brockler's back?
Brockler is back. He was term limited in the 18th. They created the 23rd Judicial District, and the Supreme Court, in all of their wisdom, decided that even though you're term limited in one judicial district, you can run in a new one, even if that new one was part of your old one.
Oh, man. All right, I'll save my comments on that one. But I saw him in the pleadings. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we were done with that guy. Okay, so I was telling my listeners earlier, now the law may have changed. I don't think it has, but maybe it has. But I said it's a big no-no. You don't take somebody else's phone in a kind of a domestic situation. Against the law, you can't do it. You can't make it so they can't have their phone. Is that still the case? Is that still a big no-no? Is that still against the law?
Well, it's against the law to obstruct telephone service if they're trying to call emergency personnel. You can take somebody's phone for other reasons, but taking someone's phone for other purposes could potentially be legal. It is a nuanced area of the law.
Okay. Yeah, I'd seen cases where they had said, well, they basically, prosecutors have made the argument that, well, they couldn't call 911 because like back in the day that you pulled the phone out of the wall. You completely removed the potential victim's ability to call 911. So they really stretched that pretty far. So I guess the reason I was asking that question is she admitted to taking his phone and keeping his phone from him, but that on its face is not necessarily a crime.
Yeah, there has to be a knowledge component that they were attempting to get emergency help in the circumstance.
Okay. So, Harvey, you know how good he is at what he does. What are your thoughts on him being the defense attorney, the statements he's made in the media, and how is he going to work his magic?
So, Harvey's one of the best attorneys in the state. There's no doubt about that. Has been for a very long time. I've known him for a couple decades now. And I would say that, there are very few attorneys in the state more well-equipped to handle a circumstance like this. Broncos have gone to him for a very long time. I think there was a bit of a gap in between there when there was a different administration in charge of the team. But with a more stable environment around the players, I think they've kind of gone back to Harvey as their go-to. And I think they're certainly in good hands. I think that prosecutors around the state know what he's capable of and kind of know what he's planning to do. And, I take maybe a different tactic when I'm representing somebody and what I'm willing to say about clients I'm representing. But, it's between each attorney and their client to have agreements in place about what you're able to say with attorney-client privilege in public about your own clients. And knowing Harvey and knowing that he is going to dot all I's and cross all T's, I'm sure he has discussed this with Jonathan Cooper and said, we need to fight a little bit of a battle in the court of public opinion. Sign here, allow me to do this. Right.
Well, because last time I had you on the show that I remember, Von Miller was in a kind of similar situation, but the newly elected DA in that district was like, I ain't touching that, man. I don't have the capital yet to be prosecuting a Von Miller, and he kind of walked, if I remember correctly. Am I remembering that right?
He was never charged. And I would say that the biggest difference that we saw in Von Miller versus Jonathan Cooper is that Von Miller's now, I think they're still together, quite frankly, but the mother of his children and whatever relationship they have to this day, she was never charged with anything, number one. So she had nothing at stake. and she ended up retracting her statement and kind of going to bat for Vaughn. And so the case was weak. And so if Jonathan Kellner, who was the DA at that time, was going to go against Von Miller in Denver, Colorado, or in Douglas County, Colorado at that time, he was going to go against full public opinion for one of the most beloved Broncos of all time without the help of the alleged victim in the case. And here, Brockler had charges against the alleged victim for Jonathan Cooper, who, while he is a beloved Bronco, he's not Von Miller. And so they had leverage against her that makes her cooperative, and they got her charges dropped by keeping her cooperative. So now they have somebody in their corner that can help them go against this Denver Bronco. And so that's the biggest difference.
Well, but correct me if I'm wrong, though. The statute at that time with Vaughn was compulsory. They almost have no choice but to arrest him. But in his case, he got a special, favor in that the cops were like, dude, we're not carrying this out until we call our guys. And they called the DA, and the DA said, no, don't arrest him. And then that's how he ended up not being charged, where wouldn't it normally, if it were you or me or one of our listeners, if the cops get a call and they receive information to us about certain facts, it's under the DV statutes, it's compulsory. You are arrested. Patrick Waugh was arrested under that. Yeah. But Von Miller didn't get that treatment, correct?
Yeah, the cops are in dereliction of their duty. There's no question about that. Now, the DA's office may have dropped the case later if they didn't think there was probable cause or a likelihood of success at trial, but the cops are in absolute dereliction of their duty by not arresting him that day. And good for Von Miller, it turns out he doesn't get an arrest on his record and he moves forward just fine from it, but that was not legal. That is not what anybody else in the state of Colorado would have experienced that day.
All right. Last thing for you, Jeff, you're a loyal season ticket holder. How many seasons have the tickets been in your family?
Since 1961, the second season of the team.
Okay.
They've been in my family. First was my grandfather, then my dad, now me.
All right, so I'm asking this all the time, and every time I run to a season ticket holder, because I hear a lot of, well, we've had tickets forever, but if they screw us on the PSLs, we're out. How do you feel about PSLs?
I am extremely trepidatious and or nervous, depending on which word you want to use, about PSLs. It really depends on the amount that they are and what the arrangement is with the team on getting it paid, I would say. That's where I'm at on PSLs. I have a friend who talked to a season ticket representative, and they said they are aware that they don't want to alienate their fans, but I don't know exactly how aware they are.
All right, how do you have two? Do you have 2 seats or 4 seats? What do you got?
I had 2 seats. I acquired a third seat in the offseason because there was a single seat available next to me, and they asked me if I wanted it, and I took it.
All right. So, I don't know. You got 3 seats. What if they say $65,000, but don't worry, Mr. Wolf. We have a credit card arrangement where for 8 or 9% interest, you can finance it for over 5 years. But it's $65,000 for the privilege of keeping these seats in your family that have been in there since 1961. How would that be? Is that fair? Or
they're going to need a longer payment plan and a lower interest rate to get me to do $65,000.
But you would.
Well, within reason. $65,000 is a little.
Answer the question, counselor. No, I'm just teasing. All right, Jeff Wolf, thanks for shedding some light on this Jonathan Cooper situation. Always a pleasure to speak with you. And I was actually telling people this before I set you up, but I'll remind them, and then you can just give them your contact info. But I say a lot of times if you call 303 Law 4040, if you're in a criminal pickle, I'll just say call Wolf Law Colorado. Just go to the website. Is that the best way, or what do you recommend?
Yeah, you can either go to our website, wolflawcolorado.com. There's a form you can fill out, and my partner, Colleen Kelly, can help you out. We handle everything, every kind of criminal case, from your lowest traffic ticket to your highest murder and everything in between. So anything that you need help with, we can help you out. And, we could have helped Jonathan Cooper and people in his circumstance out with domestic violence cases as well. And, if the Broncos want to move on from Jonathan Cooper, I heard Von Miller wants to come back too. We'll take him.
Well, but that's the funny thing is that was the conversation they were having on the drive was like, we don't want Von Miller back. All the off the field, all the drama and all that stuff. We can't have that. And then boom, here comes Jonathan Cooper. So you're going to bring back Vaughn? I thought you couldn't have him in the locker room.
I'll take Von Miller in a second.
All right, Jeff Wolf.
Bronco.
Jeff Wolf, Wolf Law, Colorado. Thank you for joining us. Well, there's something I want to clarify on the Jonathan Cooper situation. We'll get into that coming up next.
One can't stay on the court. The other can't stay on the field. There are certain things that are putting Aaron Gordon and J.K. Dobbins in the same conversation, and neither one should be happy about it.
So is Aaron Gordon now in the J.K. Dobbins category in your mind, that it's not a matter of when he gets hurt or if he gets hurt, it's when he gets hurt and how long will he be out? I mean, at this point, is this just the way he's going to be? Yeah. A part-time player, and you're going to be holding your breath, especially come playoff time, every game.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Jacob's Law, 303-LAW-4040, 303-LAW-4040. It's funny, we actually like it. We get calls on all sorts of things. Now, we handle car accidents. That's what we do. You get hurt in a car accident, that's where we're specializing in now. I used to be a criminal defense attorney. My main thing was I was a trial attorney. I like to get in the courtroom. I like to tell my clients' stories to the jury. But I specialize now in car accidents, and we'll go tell your story to the jury if we need to on those. But we get calls on all sorts of things. I always say, like, I don't know, sometimes the listeners think I'm like a priest. So they call Dan will know, and they call me, and we'll give you the best advice that we're allowed to do that we can. But we want to be here for you when you have. We're always there for you. Give us a call, 303-LAW-4040. But if you've been hurt in an accident, you don't have to go it alone. You don't have to get taken advantage of by the insurance companies. They're not going to do the right thing unless we make them. Okay, and that doesn't mean we're going to sue everybody and cause a bunch of hassle, but we're going to make them do what they said they were going to do when they sold the policy with its benefits. 303-LAW-4040. I hope you never need it, but save that number in your phone just in case. It's 303-LAW-4040.
Did you really think Pure Talk was just going to sit back and watch America turn 250 years old without doing something awesome to celebrate? Of course not. That's why they're raising $250,000 for America's Warrior Partnership by the end of July. America's Warrior Partnership is on the front line of preventing veteran suicide. They've had extraordinary success, and here's how you can help. When you switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk this month, you'll be invited to round up to support America's Warrior Partnership. No pressure, but if you do, Pure Talk will match your donation dollar for dollar. And to further celebrate 250 years of our extraordinary democratic republic, Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. That's pound 250, say Mike Rowe. And happy birthday to us.
Tom's Garage Door, Tom's Garage Door. When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more.
I started my first business at 12 years old, mowing lawns for about $5 a yard. I thought I was crushing it. Until my buddy down the street undercut me by $2. But he didn't just cut the price, he cut corners too. That's when I learned if you do the job right, people trust you, and integrity beats profit. People care more about how you show up and whether you do what you say you're gonna do. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Don's Garage Doors. From garage door repairs to upgrades, we show up, we crush it, and we stand behind every job. We only use the best parts, and the spring's guaranteed to last a lifetime. Because when you care about the people you serve, you work harder, and it shows. From repairs to upgrades, call Don's Garage Doors today or schedule online at donsgaragedoors.com. And yeah, we still beat the other guy.
Tom's Garage Doors, Tom's Garage Doors. When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more.
Switching your account numbers is hard. Being forced to switch, even worse. That's why at Belco Credit Union, we want to pay you to switch. From June 1st to August 31st, we're offering a $300 bonus when you open a new checking account with a qualifying direct deposit of $500 or more. They changed your account number. You can change who you bank with. Go to belco.org/switch for full offer details. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required. Conditions and restrictions apply. Belco. Banking for everyone.
Don't miss the Tree Farm's Father's Day sale, now through Father's Day. See what's on sale at thetreefarm.com. Get up to 30% off all sizes of shade trees, flowering trees, and fruit trees, including aspen, apple, cherry, maple, oak, and more. For example, 3-year-old, 6-foot-tall autumn blaze maple trees, only $129.99 each, now through Father's Day. Come see.
Take I-25 to exit 235, then 5 miles west to the Tree Farm.
You're listening to the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan.
All right. We'll go to the Ramos.com text line I'll use these texts to kind of set up some questions or some answers as as we talk about this conversation. One texter says, isn't everything accused both true and false until adjudicated? I think I get what you're trying to say, but first off, the answer is no. It's not both true and false. But right now, this is the part we're missing. You know what? I was watching on Netflix, just so we can. The reason we have to be careful in these conversations is because if you play the devil's advocate and you try and make the other side's argument a little bit, then, like for example, somebody in my position, you will get accused of condoning domestic violence, which I'm not doing. All I'm saying is there's a possibility that there's another side to the story, and until we get to the bottom of it, it's dangerous to kind of rush to judgment. And I'm going to tell you why here in just a second. But so to take this situation away, so you can't say I'm supporting Jonathan Cooper, I'm going to talk about Michael Jackson real quick. Hey, that's less controversial, right? But I'm only going to do it in this sense. I was watching the Netflix documentary. You know, we had plane flight over to Ireland. It's 9 hours each way. I said, you know what? That's interesting to me. There's a documentary on Netflix. It's a 3-part documentary about the allegations against Michael Jackson. And it was pretty much slanted to make him look guilty, but it did it gave both sides some arguments. It's actually fascinating because their attorneys had to do kind of the same thing that I'm attempting to do very gingerly here in that, because I don't want to get in trouble. But so in that case, he was acquitted. Not guilty was the verdict. And they went to some people that said he was guilty, reporters, and they said, well, the verdict was not guilty. It wasn't innocent. There's no innocent verdict. You want to know why? Because he was always innocent in the eyes of the law. You are innocent until proven guilty. So if a jury says not guilty, you are always innocent. In fact, that's an exercise that defense attorneys, we have to really ram that point home with juries when we're questioning the jury. We have to say, do you understand, even though they're alleging that he's guilty, that right now, as he sits there, Mr. Jones is innocent. Do you understand that? And then you have to talk to the jury about it. You have to say, you know, Mr. Boyd, do you understand that right now Jonathan Cooper is innocent?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Talk to me about that.
I'm feeling like he's...
As a juror, you're a juror, and you've seen a little stuff in the media.
Once I see you get in trouble, once the first altercation, the alleged altercation that has all these different details to it, in which he's already admitted to being physical with her, that was his first and only mistake. That's his vital mistake that's going to get him packed up.
Okay, so Mr. Boyd, if you're on this jury, you're telling the court you will be unable to issue a fair verdict because you've already made up your mind. Is that correct?
I'm biased.
You're biased.
Send me home for the
And
day.
I know everybody always wants to get sent home, so they always claim they're biased. Are you not able to acknowledge that as of now, he's innocent?
As a Raiders fan, respectfully,
there we go. See,
guilty.
this is how it goes. And he is innocent right now in the eyes of the law. So it's not like when Michael Jackson got acquitted, that jury said he was innocent, right? And now, so here's why we tell both sides of the story, right? So with Michael Jackson and that accuser, and I'm not saying he's innocent, I'm not saying he's guilty, but here was the arguments. Prosecution says he groomed this kid, by the way, that he cured of cancer, basically. He paid for cancer treatment, he cured his cancer, and he took this family into his life, and he was accused of doing inappropriate things with this family, okay? Would it be important at all to know, because it was to the jury, that this same kid went into a JCPenney's, tried to steal some stuff, and when security guards detained him, his mom sued the JCPenney and got $150,000 because they said the security guards assaulted my boy. Would that matter to you if you're on a jury? Because it mattered to that jury.
I wouldn't let that be that doesn't speak to anything character related. I actually would then put the prosecution on the mom.
They did. Because you want to know another thing she did?
Yeah, she was let charged him go over there and go stay with Mike. That was her first mistake.
Well, with she took that money and still collected welfare benefits. So it's not always black and white.
Bad. That's all.
So
bad.
what I'm going back to the conversation with Jeff Wolf, where we may be rushing to, and I'm going to actually read another text here to kind of set this up because the texter asks a fair question. So let me find this text. Well, here's one that says, isn't there usually a no-contact order put in place in domestic violence cases? Aren't defendants advised of this when released on bond? That's from Mr. Sandy. And then there's another text I want to read because it brings up some good points, and I will address them a little bit. So I just got to find it. So here it is. It says, Dan, this is on the RamosLaw.com text line. Dan, come on. The strangulation report from the nurse after all the red flags and are patterns of an abuser. You're condoning behavior that is common for stalking, and who knows what would have happened. It appears she already was put in bodily harm once. That and all the text messages were sexual in nature, so he was trying to make up, LOL. He was trying to be intimate and maybe hurt her again. Come on, Dan. Steinberg is representing him, and you don't think it was explicitly clear on what to do, what not to do, and the PR ramifications and the professional consequences. That's a good question. Now, some of the stuff in your text I think is a little bit misguided. There's no stalking alleged here. By the way, when you say all the text messages were sexual in nature, that's not true. You may have thought that. They're not all sexual in nature. And by the way, according to the reporting, they weren't even like overtly sexual. They were kind of like, hey, you want to get together? This and that. I mean, they were very, if you're on the other side, you're saying, she's my girlfriend and I was talking to her. And I didn't know that I couldn't talk to her. So the important question is, another texter had it, and then this texter brings it home. Don't you think Harvey Steinberg told him what he was allowed to do?
I think the NFL did.
I think they probably did. Not best practices, because Sean, what you're talking about is true, but it's also sometimes best practices. Or like Jeff was saying, I advise all my clients of that, because what good can come out of violating the protection order, right? But here's a key point, and Jeff hit on it, and the same thing is what I thought about. There were a no contact order in place. So is it automatic that a protection order gets issued in these cases every single time? Yes. To answer to the texter's questions, yes, automatically a protection order is in place. But as I was going through with Jeff, there's like 8 to 10 different boxes of like what that means, right? And every single one of them is you can't stalk, harass, intimidate, bother, molest. You're not allowed to do that at all in any of them. There's no wiggle room. Now, what Jeff is saying is, yeah, but you're still not supposed. The language is what the language is, and we'll make our arguments when we get to court. But there's a separate box that says no contact. So it may be true that that box was not checked, and so he did not know that he was not allowed to, because he wasn't. Jonathan Cooper, I promise he is going to say, I meant her no harm. I was not trying to scare her. I said nothing mean. I said nothing threatening. I said nothing intimidating. I was just trying to make up because I love her and I care about her. That's going to be Jonathan Cooper's argument. I promise you that. And now, to circle back to the texter, oh, come on, Dan, I don't believe that. He knew better. He knew better. Well, what if there's an example of a high-profile Denver Broncos celebrity, not the one you're thinking of, that was in an exact same situation, and the prosecutor said it was a clear violation, and they were wrong? I'll tell you about that coming up next.
You asked for it, you got it. Backed by popular demand, it's the Drives Brouhaha.
Big social brouhaha.
This summer, Zach and Phil are back on the road bringing their party to you. Last up, Arvada. June 26th from 2 to 6 at Arvada Beer Garden.
That was quite a brouhaha.
Come find out what the commotion's all about. Head to DenverSports.com/drive for more details.
Guaranteed to bring the brouhaha.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
DeerTrailMeatCo.com, DeerTrailMeatCo.com. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there and all that hard work you do for your family all the time, including on the grill. Isn't it funny how many of us today, and I don't know if I will be or not, but it's not uncommon, even on Father's Day, we have to go to the grill and we do the work. We throw on the meat from DeerTrailMeatCo.com. Not that we mind. We love it, man. It's our thing. But even then, we're still out there serving the families that we love. And maybe that's going to be true for you, but it's awesome when you don't have to run to the store or spend a ton of money and you can just have DeerTrailMeatCo.com deliver this delicious beef and pork to your front door. Breakfast, with some fresh bacon in there, stuff. It was so fantastic. I loved it. All that stuff is delivered to your front door with a money-back guarantee at tremendous savings, up to 75% off what you pay at the grocery store. Hey, man, just go check out the website. You got your phone in your hand. Do it. Toggle back and forth between the YouTube, Denver Sports YouTube channel and DeerTrailMeatCo.com. You'll thank me for it later. Check them out, DeerTrailMeatCo.com.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my friends at Xfinity. What if you had the most reliable, fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to Xfinity Summer Savings Event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 22nd, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included. No strings, no commitments, and get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply to Mobile Select. Xfinity Internet required. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know that hiking isn't for you. Sure, it sounds nice to be in nature while exercising, but that's what a gym and houseplants are for. I mean, you don't even like walking upstairs. So why would you walk up a hill for miles? To what, end up high in the air? Come on, you know you're scared of heights. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
What's going on, guys? Philip Lindsay here, and I know there's at least 50 of you listening to me right now who are thinking about popping that question. And if you're ready for all that, you know you need a diamond. So let me save you time and money by telling you something as simple as this. Whether you're starting your next chapter with your perfect diamond engagement ring, or celebrating a new milestone, or finally just doing something special for yourself for once, this is where it's going to begin. Imagine the finest jewelry legends all in one store together, making you feel just like family, and their service is going to reflect that. So come shop the finest loose diamonds in Denver. They have every size, shape, and price range you can imagine, in the largest selection of engagement ring settings I've ever set eyes on. And not only are they going to share the secrets of the business with you, they're going to give you the best price in Colorado, guaranteed. So why wouldn't you want to create moments and memories for yourself and the ones you love by going to Williams Jewelers, the official jeweler of the Colorado Avalanche, Denver's first family of fine jewelers. Located in Cherry Creek North on 3rd Avenue, and also in Inglewood at Broadway and Bellevue. And don't forget to mention my name, Philip Lindsay, when you step through one of those doors.
It's the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
All rise. All rise.
Oh my goodness. We have our court segment. All right. I didn't look at the rundown. So we have our court segment. We may have to push that back just a little bit because we're going to finish up this part of the court segment because I teased it, and I want to be unlike Mike Evans. I want to pay off the tease, and it's still court stuff. So what the texters were saying was there was an order in place. He knew it, and if he didn't know it, Harvey and the NFL would have told him about it, advised him exactly what to do, and so Jonathan Cooper has absolutely no defense.
And I hate to look at it because I come from a player standpoint, so I'm looking at it and I feel bad for him. But then as the drama unfolds, it's just like he just shot himself in the foot. No, I don't care what legalities are out there. Brass tacks, he did bad.
Okay, well, but you agree that's the context. He shouldn't have violated that. He can't claim he didn't know about it, even though he is saying that. Because Harvey's great and Harvey would have told him, right? That's the argument.
Yeah, because Dan, the reality is this: as Coach Payton, I don't want you contacting that young lady after you guys.
Hold on, Sean.
Come on.
Sean Payton doesn't get to dictate to Jonathan Cooper his morals or values on Jonathan Cooper. Sean Payton does not have the right to do that. Well, he doesn't get to say, I control who you talk to, and I don't want you talking to her anymore.
No, what I'm saying is while we're trying to sort through all this legal stuff that you've put yourself into so that we don't have to fire you, stay away from the lady.
Your employer doesn't have a right to say that. Your employer says we're concerned. They could certainly say we're concerned about your conduct. I certainly hope you don't get any more trouble.
Okay,
right? They can say that, but Sean Payton can't say don't talk to that woman you love or whatever.
No. Again, it's just about advising. Hey, we don't.
But hold on. All right, let's get to this. So remember Johnny Bolin, blood of the city.
I actually ran around with his son a little bit.
Whose?
John Bolin's son.
John Bolin has a son?
John Bolin
is the son.
The son.
So you ran around with who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know JB. One of my good friends is best friends with him, and so I got to hang out with JB a little bit.
Did you have a good experience?
Yeah, he's an eccentric guy. I mean, I don't even know how to really even talk to a guy with that amount of wealth.
Yeah, everything I've heard from people that know him say he's a good dude. Now, he obviously has mental illness problems. He says nasty, reprehensible things. He's got problems. He's also got $400 million, but he's got severe problems. Most people that know him like him.
I thought he was a good guy. I liked him.
But he blew his chance to be the next owner of the Denver Broncos. His own shortcomings cost him that. And because that's what his dad wanted. And I was out there. They were grooming him. He was going, and just like Josh Kroenke did at KSE, Johnny Bolin was going around and learning all the various different departments so that when he took over, he would know everybody's job or at least have an appreciation for what people were doing. He was really working hard. He's a fun guy, but he got himself into a problem, a domestic violence situation. Okay. And it was all in the paper because he told, the 911 call got released, and he said he's the owner of the Denver Broncos and he's the blood of the city and blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's very humiliating for John Bolin. Well, later, he got charged with DUI out in California. I think he moved out to California.
Yeah, he lives in San Diego.
Yeah. So he got charged with 2 counts of DUI. He got into some trouble in California, and they said, hey, man, you're on probation here. And they charged him with probation violations. And then I think he eventually surrendered himself on a warrant. They issued a warrant for his arrest for probation violations. Do you know who his attorney was?
I'm going to guess the same gentleman.
Harvey Steinberg. And guess what Harvey Steinberg said? He wasn't on probation yet. And Sean, I see you shaking your head. You know what you look like? You look like these texters. They're like, darn well, Harvey was his attorney. He knew darn well he was on probation. And Jonathan Cooper knew darn well there was a no contact order in place. Harvey's his attorney. Sounds almost like the same thing, doesn't it, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that once you get into these areas, sir, when violence happens, you got to step away. I don't care if you're thinking about getting back with her and all that.
Hold on. Every time I ask you something, you dance around. You want to convict the guy. Does it sound similar? One guy was accused of probation violation after getting arrested for DUI, and Harvey said there was no probation yet. And here they said he violated a no contact order, and Harvey's saying there was no contact order. Sounds pretty similar, right?
Yeah.
And skeptics like yourself say hogwash. No way that could be true.
No,
well,
I'm not saying that.
Guess what?
I'm not saying that.
Guess what? In the case of Johnny Bolin, Harvey Steinberg was right. He was not on probation yet. He did not start probation until he signed the paperwork, because what happened was there were appeals in his case. And so the process wasn't starting. And then after the appeals were heard, then the probation was ordered. But the Colorado courts agreed, actually, even though a judge and a prosecutor accused Johnny Bolin of not showing up to his probation. It all looks really bad for Johnny Bolin. He violated probation. He was this this entitled kid doesn't think he has to show up to probation. He doesn't have to check in with his probation officer. Why not? Everybody else does. Well, guess what? He was not on probation. Harvey was right. And so something in my... But did that take back the hit that went to John Bolin's reputation? No. People just probably still remember, oh, yeah, remember he got in trouble and he kept getting in trouble? And he's got his own set of issues. I'm not sticking up for Johnny Bolin, trust me. But I'm just I'm illustrating to you that until we know things, you don't know. And the reason it's important was because when I left for Ireland, it was like, well, Jonathan Cooper's in trouble, but he'll do what he's got to do and he'll work it out. And I get back and there's a promo saying, Zach saying, if he had to guess, he's probably gone. Well, what changed? He's been accused of violating a protection order. Not more violence, not stalking, not malice-related harassment, just that he called and texted and came to our house. And because of that, now people are saying he's got to go. You're saying he's got to go,
because that's harassment.
But but it's not harassment. No, there's a specific legal definition of harassment. Simply talking to somebody or calling someone on its face is not harassment.
When he pulled up to her house after getting no answer on the text or via phone, that was the harassment.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
See, Dan, you over here trying to play word salad in
I'm not playing word
salad over here, man.
All right, so I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, we had we're working right here at the station. We had a cat got sick, and I had to decide whether to put it down. Called my wife. She didn't answer. Called my wife. She didn't answer. Called my wife. Didn't answer. This was before cell phones. Or actually, no, she had a cell phone. She left her cell phone. I know wives always have their cell phone with her, but not mine, right? I know most people's wives, they always answer every phone call or text, whatever. But I'm like, dude, this is our cat. I don't want to make this call on my own. And so I called her a lot. She didn't answer. I left work and went home. In your book, I harassed her, and I could go to jail.
No, you cannot go to jail for harassing your wife.
Of course you can.
But what you can go to jail for, if there's an order in place or if there's any type of
harassment, you don't need an order. Harassment's illegal whether there's a order in place or not.
Oh, here's the other thing, Dan. I wanted to say this too, because this is something like that's real, right? If I'm Sean Payton, I'm advising him leave that situation alone until you get it all figured out. But then, as the young lady's father, I'm like, stay clear away from my daughter.
Sure. After
the fact, I don't care if everything shakes out that you're innocent. You guys need to leave each other alone, and that's where I'm at with Jonathan Taylor.
And the only thing that I would say to that is, and Jeff and I agreed on this because we both. It happens probably more often than not when people are in a relationship, as these two are, and the court automatically says you're not allowed to talk to each other. It happens all the time.
And Dan, they don't have kids together.
I don't know what their situation is.
Not even married, for Christ's
I know
sake.
what it looks like is he was trying to get back together with somebody he had a fight with, and that on its face, it's fact specific. That's all I'm saying, is it's fact specific. And this rush to judgment over, well, he violated the order. It happens all the time. I have to tell clients to shut up at the podium because they're about to tell the judge they've been contacting the other person, and the other person is in court saying, yeah, we've been talking to each other, but I want you to lift the protection order. It happens all the time. It's not uncommon. So far, we're not seeing anything where he was going over there trying to harass her or hurt her or scare her or do anything nefarious to her. That's all I'm saying. And that the damage to his reputation by this rush to judgment, it's a little bit concerning when, if you believe the reporting, his lawyer, as Jeff was saying, you can't go into court and lie, and Harvey Steinberg's not going to do that. So if it's true that Harvey Steinberg went in and said there wasn't a no contact order in place, it's troublesome for me if we're talking about ruining the guy's career if it didn't happen. That's all I'm saying. And that oftentimes you need to take a step back and not have a rush to judgment. It's a good practice generally in life. That, in fact, on Father's Day, my grandfather taught me that. Unless you have proof, you don't go making accusations on people. And I've tried to live that.
He bit the phone, Dan.
Yeah.
He bit the phone.
He did bite
There's
the
all
phone.
the proof we need. He packed him up.
He did bite the phone. You're going to jail 100 years for the offense of biting a phone. All right. Hour number, oh my God, are we on our last hour already? Man, things flew by. It's the Dan Jacobs Show here on The Fan.
2 arrests, felony charges, excused from minicamp. Jonathan Cooper's future in Denver has never been more uncertain. Is it fair to think it's over for him in Denver?
There's some moments where I'm like, man, at the end of the day, if the law and the league don't take him off the Denver Broncos, are the Denver Broncos going to be the ones to say, this is our new standard? Yeah. And despite us giving you a $60 million contract and being a huge part of our defense, you're still gone? I just keep going back and forth. If I had to choose right now, I think he's done as a Bronco.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Onyx, I keep having stomach issues. Please make me a doctor's appointment.
Okay, are you suffering from diarrhea, bloating, gas, or oily stools? If so, you may want to ask your doctor if it could actually be a problem with your pancreas, called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI.
My pancreas? How is EPI treated?
A prescription medicine like Creon, pancrelipase, is used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes. Creon is the #1 prescribed treatment for EPI.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor, and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. You can learn more at 1-800-633-9110.
Before your appointment, visit creoninfo.com. That's CREON info.com.
Running a small business means juggling a lot. Your network has to handle it all. That's where a fiber-only provider falls short. You deserve a partner who gives you a greater advantage. Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A first-ever combination of the largest, fastest fiber-powered network, the most reliable Wi-Fi, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. Plus, it's all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. The Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A new standard for small business with reliability, security, and savings in one. When you add it all up, no one does business like Comcast Business.
Switch today. Get started for $60 a month for 12 months when you add an advanced solution to a qualifying internet package. Limited time offer. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet, security edge, and additional qualifying service. 1-year agreement, paperless billing, and autopay with bank account required. Taxes and fees extra. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
Hi folks, Dan Cicchini, Done Right Home Improvements. My wife Susan and I started Done Right in our garage in 1985, doing a little of everything. We've grown to be one of the largest companies of our kind in Colorado, specializing in kitchens, baths, counters, floors, finished basements, and windows and doors. Serving Colorado 40 years. And what an adventure it's been. We've learned that the fundamentals of a successful business never change. That is, treat people like you want to be treated, do good work, price fairly, and back up what you say. That's our success formula. Here's our son Todd.
That's right, Dad. Been hearing that my whole life from you and Mom. Folks, whether it's a first-class kitchen renovation, an awesome turnkey bathroom remodel, a full-service basement finish for some extra space, or replacement windows and doors that will wow you, give us a call. With an 8% scheduling incentive and bank financing to ask about, now couldn't be a better time.
Kitchens, baths, counters, and floors, finished basements, windows, and doors. You have our word. We'll treat you right at Done Right. Call us to reserve your spot in our schedule. 303-722-2295, 800-362-8370, or drhi.com.
For 90 years, Belco Credit Union has proudly called Colorado home. That's thanks to all our members who have helped us grow alongside our beautiful state. To celebrate our anniversary, Belco is offering a special low fixed rate on a new home equity choice line advance. If you've been waiting to start a new home renovation project, now's the perfect time. Go to belco.org/90 years to see full offer details. Equal housing opportunity lender. Membership eligibility required. All loans subject to approval. Belco, banking for everyone.
Hey, it's Mike Evans. With all these Bluebird days in Colorado, enjoy the view through energy-efficient windows from Bluebird Windows and Doors. All June, it's their Buy More, Save More event. Save up to 20% on your window and door projects. And when you mention you heard it from me, you'll save an extra 5%. Bluebird's family-owned, serving the Front Range for over a decade, with windows, doors, and siding built for Colorado's harsh climate. Financing available. Visit gobluebirdco.com. Bluebird Windows and Doors. Make today a Bluebird day.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan presents the Honorable Judge Dan
Welcome
Jacobs.
James Merlat into the program. Now, we'll be talking to James here in just a couple minutes. Want to wrap up this Jonathan Cooper conversation. Then, for those of you that missed it a couple hours ago, we visited with James Merlat. I gave James a little bit of a hard time about Sean Payton just signed a new deal. You told me he'd be up in the Fox booth in 2 years. And Davis Webb was basically a head coach in waiting. And so I had some fun with him on that. But I want to go to this thing, and this is all I'm trying to say. And because this is why it gets dangerous. Because these narratives get spinning, and it's really harmful. Like we're talking about, and I'm not taking Jonathan Cooper's side. I think it was a nasty... At a minimum, it was a situation that never should have happened. A nasty thing, okay? But the problem is when I hear people talking about his career is over as a Denver Bronco based on something that may or may not have be factual until we have all the facts, to me that's problematic because I don't think that's fair to anybody. But here's an illustration. Lee the amputee, right? We have fun with Lee the amputee on the RamosLaw.com text line.
Lee. Don't do it, Lee.
Your Highness, that Cooper dude, he admitted that he placed his hands around that broad's neck. Her neck, dude. How could you say anything other than he has to go? You're looking bad here, Judge, so there. And I replied, Lee, he actually did not admit that. You're the perfect example why a rush to judgment is dangerous. And Lee says, yes, he did. No, actually, according to the affidavit that's been reported, he did not admit to placing his hands around her neck. What he admitted to was bracing her neck with his neck. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know.
He lying. That's what.
Well,
that's
he
what that
probably
means.
maybe
lying.
he is. Maybe he is. But he did. What I do know is it is not true to say that he admitted to placing his hands around her neck. Not admit to that. What he's admitting to is that she came at him. His girl was hot. She was pissed. She said she caught him cheating. She took his phone. By the way, he's saying he told her to leave, and that she threw his phone to break it, so he bit her phone to break hers. That's what it is. By the way, under Jeff's thing, unless he had the intent to stop her. Now, they were both charged with criminal mischief for the damage to each other's phones. Why? What his attorney is saying is they both admitted to that. He didn't admit to strangling her, but they both admitted to jacking up each other's phones. Those are the criminal mischief charges. So why does she not have to be accountable for what she admitted to? What she admitted to, taking his phone and throwing it to break it.
I'm questioning how do we even get 2 to 8 years in a felony?
He's not doing it.
Well, no, I'm just saying, how are you even going to put him on trial for 2 to 8 years in a felony for breaking the phone?
Because the felony is not the breaking of the phone. The felony is she said that he put his hands around her neck, and a nurse examined her later and came to the conclusion that whatever the nurse thinks happened fits the statutory definition of extreme bodily injury or serious bodily injury or whatever. But I'm telling you as an attorney, statutory definitions can sound much worse than the facts of that. The allegation here is the worst allegation is actually, if true, he threw her to the ground 3 times. The fact about the alleged strangulation, it doesn't sound like that's really what's going. It sounded like he more kind of grabbed her a little bit to control her. So he grabbed her by the throat. If that happened, I don't know. That's why it's so dangerous that we keep throwing around all these accusations. But he did not admit that. But you have the public, like Lee the amputee, that will go to their grave believing that's what he admitted to doing. He didn't. He didn't. Now, they did both admit to damaging each other's phones, which technically is a crime. It's technically criminal mischief. But now they're saying, the cops are saying, well, it's okay for her to do it, but not for him to do it. There's no dispute here. They're both agreeing that there was a fight, that she kind of instigated it over. She thought that he, was cheating, and was she supposed to grab his phone? No, the fact is we're human and things happen. But those are things that are agreed to. What's not agreed to is things like Lee the amputee's putting out there that, oh, well, he admitted it. No, he didn't admit it. Oh, well, he has to be guilty of the protection order violation. Well, his attorney said he isn't. And by the way, when people laughed the last time his attorney said that, Jonathan Bolin was right. Johnny Bolin. Johnny Bolin wasn't on probation, but everybody was rolling their eyes. Oh, whatever. No, it turns out the courts agreed with them. They actually agreed with Harvey Steinberg over the trial court judge. How do we feel about that? But we don't talk about that. All I'm saying is it's a little concerning to me, things that were done that were wrong. Okay? What I'm saying is to hear promos about how this guy's career, his ability to earn a living here in Denver should be over, it's a little concerning to me until we actually hear both sides of the story. A lot of people had a bad impression of Brandon Marshall, that he was a woman beater and things like that. And then he hired the same attorney, and he went on trial, and guess what? A jury agreed with Brandon Marshall in both instances. In fact, in one of the instances, it wasn't even a beyond the reasonable doubt standard. It was a civil jury. And so all the jury had to believe was the girl was telling the truth, more likely than not. And so that's difficult to overcome. But in that case, the jury said, no, we believe Brandon Marshall. We don't believe what this woman is saying. In that case, luckily, in part because it turns out there was video and she wasn't telling the truth. And there was video of the incident. But in everybody, in the public's mind, oh, well, he's guilty.
Yeah,
he
he ended up marrying that lady as well, right? And
well,
then also using some
the one was
mental illness in the process of that.
There's mental illness there. There's all sorts of things. In the Brandon Marshall case, one of them was with somebody he was in a relationship with. Another one was with somebody outside of a club or something like that. So anyway, all I'm just saying is just be careful about the rush to judgment. I'm not condoning anything, his behavior. I don't know the answers. Nobody knows all the answers just yet because the facts have not come out. But I'm just a little worried about if things turn out to not be what everybody's assuming they are, then that's highly problematic for Jonathan Cooper. Okay? All right, coming up next, coming up right now, I was really chomping at the bit. I missed last week's show because I was on assignment. In addition to the Jonathan Cooper news coming down, the Sean Payton news coming around. Looks like he's sticking around for a while, but that was confusing to me because James Marilat, was saying, hey man, the Penner Group has a succession plan sketched out, and Davis Webb is the new guy. They're going to play this out for a little while and promote him, but all of a sudden they're giving a longer term deal to Sean Payton. I was a little confused by it, so I was very excited to have James Marilat with us. Let's welcome James Marilat into the program. Brought to you by the Birdie Bar in Louisville, the premier indoor golf bar in downtown Louisville, locally owned and operated. Find them at birdie.bar. James, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I saw the Hitman last night and our old buddies, Jim Armstrong and Mark Kisla and all those guys. We had a good time.
I saw that on social media. I was kind of wondering where my invite was, though.
Well, I knew. You already told me. You're in the Marilat compound right now, right?
That is fair. I'm on my way. I'm actually in Las Vegas at the moment.
Oh, okay. Well, you're globetrotting. I thought about inviting you because it's up there. It's up there by you, but you're off dashing around the world. So
was it? It was up in Westminster, right?
Yeah. Bender's at the promenade there.
All right, we'll have to take a rain check.
So let me ask you this: speaking of traveling around the world, I'm traveling around the world. I'm going to the DeLorean Festival in Northern Ireland, and I'm trying to keep an eye on things. And I see a story, And I thought it must be like The Onion or something, because it's talking about Sean Payton just signed a new, what is it, a 5-year contract extension or something like that. And I got really confused, James, because I said, this is not possible, because James Marilat has come on the Dan Jacobs Show multiple times, not once or twice, but he assured me that Greg Penner has it all sketched out on a napkin. He's got a succession plan he's putting into place. 2 years from now, Sean Payton will be back in the Fox booth, and Davis Webb's going to be the head coach of the Broncos. So I don't understand. Why would he sign a contract extension?
Well, are we 100% sure that's not going to happen? Like, I know he's got the contract extension, but that doesn't mean he's going to fulfill it, right?
Well, he may not fulfill the whole thing. In fact, the odds are he won't fulfill the whole thing. But if he was just playing out the string, why would he bother?
You don't want to go into next year being a lame duck. You don't want to get to the end of this season, which will probably be a step backward, right? They were 14-3 a year ago. That's hard to do. So if you get to next year and you're 11-6, it's a weird negotiating situation. It's all the scenarios that I had pointed out to you of, like, it creates this very narrow window for bringing him back. So if you take care of it now, you avoid those, difficult conversations, those awkward moments. But look, they added 3 years to the deal. They tore up 2 and added 3, so it's not a 5-year deal. It's an additional 3. Do I think he'll fulfill all of it? No. Do I think he'll fulfill any of the additional 3 years? I think that remains to be seen. I think odds are he'll still get through this year, maybe next. If they win a Super Bowl, he's walking off into the sunset. So I don't think it changes anything all that much. I think it's just a reward to Sean Payton for, hey, you took over a team that was 5-12. 3 years later, you were 14-3. We're going to go ahead and throw you a few more million. I get that, and I'm not upset about it. I think it's a smart move, but I still think it creates an interesting situation. If Davis Webb is the next Ben Johnson, and he's the hot coordinator, and he's the young guy that's up and coming, and you got a coach that's in his mid-60s, what do you do if you're Greg Penner? I think that's a tricky situation.
I don't think it's that tricky. I don't think it's that tricky.
Really?
You're going to get rid of I mean, it depends on what happens.
If you're Detroit and you have a 65-year-old head coach, and Ben Johnson is getting, interviews every single year with other teams, and he's going to go to the Bears, a team within your division, and your head coach at that point, it's not Dan Campbell, but it's a 65-year-old guy, you're not in a little bit of a tricky situation? I think that puts him in a conundrum to some extent.
Well, Indiana's a lovely place, so why wouldn't you want to go coach the Indiana Bears? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
exactly.
Let me ask you this. I'm a little conflicted of the Broncos, but I think to be true to myself, I have to get out of my own way, and I have to change my expectation for the Broncos. I'd been kind of, and you were there with me a little bit, in certain respects, for the last at least couple years, I've said we got to be fair to the Broncos. It's not fair for Sean Payton to come in here, take over a dumpster fire, and then to automatically be talking about Super Bowl and all this stuff like some of the Kool-Aid drinkers have done, right? I said you got to give him a little time. He's got to remake the roster, and then you can say the expectations are a lot higher.
Yeah.
And I've done that. The problem is they won 15 games last year. They said, we're done. They said, we're running this thing back. We're adding Jalen Waddle, a piece or two here or there, but we think we are where we need to be from a roster standpoint. So while I still think they need to add some pieces and weapons, and I think they're from a talent perspective, they shouldn't be really competing to win a Super Bowl. But at the same time, what other expectation can I have? They won 15 games, and they said, our roster's set. We got our quarterback. We got our defense. We got everything we need. We got our hot shot coordinators. I guess I have to get past my own analysis and say the expectation should be Super Bowl or Super Bowl win now. Does that make sense?
No, I think it makes total sense. I mean, look, in reality, they got to the AFC title game last year. If the quarterback doesn't get hurt, in the final 4 or 5 plays of the divisional round, they're going to the Super Bowl. So why would it be any step backward this year? And they're a better team this year. Jalen Waddle is a significant addition. I think we all look at it and, it was run it back off season, and we kind of downplay what they did. Like, that's a huge addition. I think that, the one thing they didn't have last year was a big time playmaker on offense. Now they have it. It's like, okay, you put that into the mix of a team that was 14-3. And again, they hit a lot of green lights last year. They won a lot of one-score games. Like, they're going to be better this year and probably have a worse record. But this team should be 12-5 in that range. They're certainly a playoff team, and when they get in, there's not a team that you look at and say, well, they can't compete with that team in the playoffs. So, yeah, I think it's Super Bowl or bust. Now, is Super Bowl or bust like the Avs, where it's, hey, cup or bust, but if you don't make it, there's no bust? Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But, no, it's a Super Bowl caliber team, and I think that's a realistic expectation, and I think that's how we should go into it. I think anything short of going to the Super Bowl this year will be a disappointment. Doesn't mean people get fired. Doesn't mean you trade the quarterback. Doesn't mean you blow it up. But I think it'll be a disappointment if it's anything short of a Super Bowl this year.
I know that Cortland Sutton's a big fan of the Dan Jacobs Show, and I know he loves listening to James Merrillat on the Dan Jacobs Show. It's appointment radio every single week. So, James, knowing that, how do you think Cortland Sutton feels when he hears you say the Broncos had no explosive playmakers last year? What does that say about Cortland Sutton? How do you think he feels?
I mean, does he have a sense of reality, or is he delusional? Like, look, Cortland Sutton's a really good player, but Cortland Sutton's not a receiver that opposing defensive coordinators lie awake at night all week going, oh my God, how are we going to deal with Cortland Sutton? I just don't think that's a situation. So they got a guy now who can take any play and take it 80 yards to the house. Cortland Sutton's not that kind of guy, and I think he would admit that. Again, it's not a knock. It doesn't mean he's not a really good player, but Jalen Waddle is a different kind of receiver. He brings a different dynamic, and I think everybody in that building realizes it. That's why they made the trade, right? Like, Sean Payton knows it, George Payton knows it, Greg Penner knows it, and I would imagine Cortland Sutton knows it.
Of course, you're the big boss for DenverSports.com. I heard a little bit of this before I left, and now there's an article talking about Brendan Stokely doubling down on this. We have our new Jerry Jeudy, James. It's Evan Ingram. Who's our dark horse? Every year, Jerry Jeudy was going to pop out and be a Hall of Famer, and now it's Evan Ingram. Why are we... He was top 5 in the league in drops last year. Of course, he was a disappointment. He was everybody's darling last year, and apparently he's everybody's darling again this year. So that for some reason, going into year 10, he's automatically going, for some reason, because Davis Webb, this beautiful offense that nobody's ever seen before, is going to make a star again out of Evan Ingram, who's had basically a couple good, really nice seasons out of 9 of them, and the rest of the time, he's like the Val Nichushkin of the NFL, right? So what leads us to believe that going into year 10, he's going to get better and healthier and drop less balls and become the new dark horse to emerge as a star for the Denver Broncos? What am I missing?
Well, it's not as though he was bad last year. He wasn't terrible. Like, was he disappointing? I guess so. That's probably the right word for it, but maybe our expectations were too high in year 1, and now year 2, like, okay, he understands the offense more, they understand him more, they'll work him into the system more. But it also feels like at the end of every year, right, like Sean Payton will come out and say, oh, we got to get Marvin Mims more involved, and then we'll all talk about it all offseason, and then we get to the next season, and for 10, 11 weeks, they don't get Marvin Mims involved, and at the end of the year, they do. I feel like it's the same kind of thing. Like, yeah, could Evan Ingram have a big season? Sure. Does he have a ton of talent? Yeah. Do they need to figure out ways to work him into the offense more effectively? Without a doubt. But are they going to? I don't know. Like, again, it's the same thing we see every year with Marvin Mims. So I get where Stoke is going. I do think Evan Ingram is a talented player. We saw a couple of flashes last year. Like the Washington game, he had the big play late in the game or in overtime that, was like, oh, okay, he could take it and make a big play out of a relatively short crossing route. That's what you want to see. But did this coaching staff, and it's the same staff, right? It's just minus Joe Lombardi. Did they figure out ways week after week to create mismatches with Evan Ingram? They did not. So I don't know why that's going to be different this year. I'm expecting Evan Ingram to be exactly what he was a year ago. Anything other than that, like to say he's going to be worse, I think he's just being a hater. To say he's going to be this, dark horse guy is just being overly optimistic. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but we have no evidence to suggest this. Like, they brought back, a bunch of pedestrian tight ends for a reason. That's what Sean Payton likes. He likes that crew. So I think we're going to get from Evan Ingram this year what we got last year, which is okay. It's not great, not terrible. It's just okay.
Okay. He had 1 touchdown, and he was top 5 in the league in drops. And he, by the way, he had 70 targets. Everybody's missing this. They're acting like, well, he didn't get the opportunities and this and that. He had 70 targets. That's a lot of targets. Does he deserve? Like this notion that, like, even you just said it. Well, they got to find a way. Why? Why does Evan Ingram get this special superstar treatment where we got to find a way for him? No, most football players, you earn it. You find a way. Not like the very special Jerry Jeudy rules where forever we tried to make this guy into a great player. Why? Why didn't Jerry Jeudy have to earn it like everybody else? I don't get it.
Well, I guess what I mean by that is, was there a single game last year where you're like, oh, man, they really drew something up creative there to create a mismatch for Evan Ingram? No. Like, I can remember multiple plays they did for Nate Atkins where he's on the right side of the line. He blocks to his right and then releases late coming all the way across the field. They throw him the ball, and he ends up getting a touchdown. It's like, well-designed play. That's a Nate Atkins play. They didn't do anything last year where you're like, that was specifically an Evan Ingram design play. So I'm with you. 70 targets sounds like a lot, but it's also 4 a game. 4 targets a game. Like, okay. I mean, if he's your tight end that you think can be a difference maker, 4 targets a game isn't going to get it done. So I'm somewhere in the middle on this. I'm not as bullish on Evan Ingram as Stoke is. I'm also not as bearish on him as you are. I think we're going to get the same kind of year, which was fine. And he's a guy that, if they did something more creative with him, could he be more productive? Yeah, but does he warrant them being more creative with him? Perhaps not. I think you make a valid point on that.
And by the way, we're agreeing. So that's the funny thing is I agree. Probably going to be what he was last year. What I'm confused about is this notion that some guy going in his 10th year in the league is going to be something he hasn't been. Right? Because that's what we're saying. We're saying, well, he's going to be. Right. We're going to add Jalen Waddle to the mix. We're going to develop the young guys that we want to develop as well. But all of a sudden, Evan Ingram also is just going to pop in a way that is not him. It'd be like saying, well, Val Nichushkin, they got to find a way to get Val Nichushkin, off next year. They have to. Why? Val Nichushkin is who he is. He's Evan Ingram. But we want to believe there's something different because they have in the past shown flashes. Therefore, they deserve something. They're entitled to something. But, James, I agree. He's probably going to be about what he was last year, which is mediocre to disappointing. But that's all right. I'm just saying, why are we acting like he's going to be something better? What evidence do you have to say he's going to be more? That's all.
No, I think that's fair. And I think at this point in his career, that he is what he is, right? And, look, I have my things about Sean Payton that I'm critical of. I also think he's a very smart football coach. And I think if he looked at it and said, man, Evan Ingram is a difference maker, they would be smart enough to figure out how to let him go be a difference maker. So the fact that they didn't do things with him creatively, I don't think it's because they just didn't have the notion in their head that they should do it. I just think they looked at it and said, hey, there's better options this week, right? Is it Cortland? Is it Troy? Is it Marvin? What is it RJ? Like, what should we do to create a mismatch? And Evan Ingram just never really came to the top of the list. I think that's probably the situation. So, yeah, I think you and I very much are on the same page. He is what he is. Not a bad player, not a guy you don't want to have on your roster, not a guy that you don't want to have be a part of your offense, but he's also not somebody that's, going to go out there and we're going to look at it and say, man, he's redefining the tight end position. That's just not happening.
All right. Thanks, James Marilat. Have a great Father's Day in your travels to the Marilat compound. You're going to be out there the whole week?
Yep. Be heading back here a week from now. So when I'm talking to you next week, I'll be in Vegas again.
All right. Sounds good. James Marilat, we appreciate you. Anybody wants to react to that, either on the Champ Honda YouTube chat line or the RamosLaw.com text line, your chance coming up next.
Parents, looking for a fun way to get your kid active this summer?
Are you kidding me?
DenverSports 104.3 The Fan's 3rd annual Be a Mentor, Be a Fan Youth Football Camp is back. Brought to you by Walmart. Saturday, June 27th at Denver South High School's All-City Stadium. Your child ages 8 to 14 will learn the fundamentals of football in a safe, hands-on environment from people who played the game at the highest level. We're talking former Denver Broncos Mark Schlereth, Philip Lindsay, and Brandon Stokely, along with a trusted coaching staff from Denver South.
Don't give him room to breathe!
And Every dollar raised goes to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Colorado, so your family is giving back just by showing up. Sign up today at DenverSports.com/camp. That's DenverSports.com/camp.
Jacob's Law, 303-LAW-4040. 303-LAW-4040. One of the things people love about working with our firm is that we're a small husband and wife law firm. We're not the big made-for-TV lawyers where you actually don't ever meet the person you see on TV. It's my wife and myself and a small other team of people to help you. I was checking my phone during the break, and she sent me this nice heartwarming, Father's Day message, post on social media. I said, oh, thank you, honey. I love my lovely wife, Kimberly, and you'll love working with her as well. God forbid, I hope you don't ever need to, but sometimes accidents happen. But if you call 303-LAW-4040, you'll definitely get to meet with her and myself in person, if it makes sense, to get you signed up, and you'll just love working with her. She's just awesome. But she's here to help. She's really good at what she does. We are here to make sure your medical bills get taken care of, the insurance companies do what's right, and to lift the burden off you so you can focus on getting better. Save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. It's 303-LAW-4040.
Progressive's accident response can detect and send help when you need it most, after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's accident response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
The playoffs are full of surprises, buzzer beaters, comeback runs, and moments nobody saw coming. But when it comes to your facility's electrical systems, you don't want surprises. For over 40 years, Piper Electric has powered complex commercial and industrial projects, from large-scale distribution to fire alarms and preventative maintenance. Their licensed electricians help reduce downtime, control costs, and keep operations running smoothly. Got a project coming up? Don't take a bad shot. Include Piper Electric in your bid process. Visit piperelectric.com.
When you decide to sell your home, don't settle for a good agent. Go for a great one. Go for a Weichert agent. A Weichert agent looks at you as a partner, not a transaction, and will work day and night to get you the results you're looking for. And your Weichert agent is backed by the Weichert brand. With over 50 years of experience, Weichert agents have guided thousands of buyers and sellers through every facet of homeownership. Don't settle for good, go for great. Work with a Weichert agent. Each Weichert franchised office is independently owned and operated.
It's hot out there. Stoke here from my team, ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Are you ready for one of the hottest summers we've ever seen? It might be time to cut your air conditioner and draft a new high-performing air conditioning system that will keep you and your home cool and comfortable. There are amazing financing options and incredible rebates too, only from the best ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
You're hearing this right now. So are your customers. That's radio. It still works. But your customers don't live in one place anymore. Tonight, they're streaming Denver's biggest game on their TV. Tomorrow, they're deep in the most popular podcast in the country. Next week, all three, all over again. We built one campaign that reaches them everywhere. Radio, streaming TV, podcasts, all under one roof. All measured, all working together. That's not a pitch. That's a system. DenverSports.com. Let's build yours.
You're listening to the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
All rise. All rise.
All right, Dan, we're back, and we're going to get ready to get into some night court. Well, actually, it's holding court with Judge Dan Jacobs.
Yeah, bring that music down just a tad, if you don't mind, Sean.
I got you.
What you got for us this week, sir?
All right, today is paternity and family court, okay?
All right.
Now, officially, court is back in session on 104.3 The Fan. Happy Father's Day, Judge Jacobs, and all the other fathers out there. So we're going to adjust the roles because your first case on the docket is a family law dispute regarding the Denver Nuggets. The charge is financial alimony extortion. Now, Your Honor, it was just released that Zeke Naji and the number 26 pick overall is a package deal that is being dangled out there for a terrifying second luxury tax apron. The prosecution argues that using our only valuable first-round asset to dump a bad $32 million contract extension from 2003 is absolute roster malpractice. Now, the defense argues that saving Stan Kroenke a 9-figure repeater tax bill is only way that the team can breathe. So, Judge, is trading the number 26 pick and dumping Zeke a sound legal strategy? Go.
Well, you're kind of leading the witness there a little bit, right? Like with kind of saying they're giving up this valuable asset and this and that. Great. Get rid of the contract. The problem is that everybody for years has been killing the Nuggets over this Zeke Naji contract. And like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to the team, and it's stopped them from making moves and all this stuff. It's just not true. He doesn't make that much money. The problem with the contract is they gave him a contract and then said, we don't want you to work here, that you're not allowed to play. He makes, so next year he's going to make $7.5 million. They're $100 million over the cap. So, great, get rid of the salary if you can, but what I would rather see is instead of trading Zeke Naji, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. That doesn't even guarantee you could re-sign Payton Watson. Payton Watson, at a minimum, is going to need $20 million on the cap next year. So it's not really, it's not enough. I don't have a problem with getting rid of Zeke Naji. I think, Sean, is what you're saying is you have a problem with giving up the 26th pick.
Well, Judge, is trading the 26th pick and dumping him, right? Do you think Calvin Booth should pay that alimony or keep the pick and find a cheap rookie to
think you're paying? It might be you're giving up a bargaining chip that you may need later just to get rid of $7 million. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make that much sense. If you have to throw in, for example, the first round pick to get somebody else, because what they're saying is, yeah, take on the salary and we'll give you a first-round pick to do it. That's what you're saying. Well, that's fine, and I think they need to do that, but I think they need to do that with Jamal Murray. They need to do that with Aaron Gordon. They need to do that with Christian Brown. I mean, they basically need to do it with 2 or 3 of their starters right now. So they need to clear 50 to 80 to 90 million just to be. I think even if they got rid of $90 million, they're still going to pay some tax and some repeater. They just won't be in the second apron. So if that's a chip that you have to use to get somebody else to take on salary, why are we wasting it on $8 million? So I will order the Denver Nuggets, if they do not go through this trade, I will order them to play Zeke Naji at least 15 minutes a game next season.
All right, Coach. For case number 2, the fan base versus head coach Sean Payton. The charge is overprotective parenting. Now, mandatory camp just wrapped up this week at Dove Valley. We all finally saw Bo Nix back on the grass after missing OTAs. Nix admitted he had a second cleanup operation for a bone spur a month and a half ago. Now, he explicitly told the media, I could go full bore right now if they let me. But Papa Payton kept him completely off the team drills, bubble wrapping his rookie quarterback until late July. The prosecution, the anxious people on the text line, are terrified that this bone spur is start of a long-term June nightmare. So the defense says Payton is just being a smart, protective football father. How do you rule, Judge?
He's being very smart. It's funny. So we were hanging out last night, and Troy Rank was there. And I got in this morning, and Troy Rank's, his column is on one of his columns on DenverPost.com, saying Bo Nix doesn't care what you think. Troy, I love you, but you're wrong. Bo Nix is very sensitive. That's why he's making statements like, well, I could go right now. I could. No, you can't. And if he didn't care what people thought, why is he calling his own press conferences after he gets, his feathers up in a dander after Sean Payton said, this was going to happen no matter what? Like, he definitely cares. He's definitely sensitive to the criticism that this is a potentially ongoing issue. Like, Zach Bye scares Bo Nix to death. So he's very sensitive to it, but nobody in their right mind. Why? These aren't even important. Like, talk about being overprotective, father. Sean Payton let the kids go home early. He didn't even make them work the entire period, right? Didn't he give him an extra day off? Like, why are you going to risk anything with Bo Nix? But you don't even make everybody show up to work every day. It makes no sense. There's no value in it. No, he's not guilty.
All right, Judge, our final case before we recess for Father's Day let's see here, the Citizens of Denver versus the Walter Penner Group. Now, Dan, you spent a good portion of yesterday's show breaking down the news on the Birmingham Yard is the official site for the Denver Broncos stadium coming up. Mm-hmm. But the defense is trying to make it sound easy, pitching the massive utopia of shopping centers, entertainment plazas, and parking lots. The prosecution argues that zoning hurdles, state tax battles, and litigation until 2035. So give us your legal reality, Judge Jacobs. Is the new stadium a district of open and shut case, or are the developers drastically underestimating the legal roadblocks ahead?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. Thank you. Thank you, counsel, for that. The best evidence on the prosecution side is the Denver Post article that I read on the program yesterday, which I got to be honest was pretty flimsy. I was expecting a lot more out of it, a lot more detail about the concrete plant and the water company and citizens groups protesting, things like that. It was a little bit thin on that. Their main argument was basically there have been a couple other people that have also gone down in that area, seeing it and going, hey, this will be a great place for like a tiki lounge and this other business, this fitness business. And they have run into hurdles. They've run into the one guy goes into his warehouse one day, his empty warehouse, and there's a naked man just standing in the middle of the warehouse, right? Like theft. They went in and stole the copper. Lots of problems, but those are going to be problems that the Broncos don't have. You want to know why? Because when you or I do business with the city of Denver, they treat us one way. They want the Denver Broncos to be there. They're mortified that the Broncos would say, you know what? Lone Tree looks pretty good. Thanks. I guess this isn't such a good idea. I guess with all these roadblocks, what you're saying is maybe we should do business elsewhere. Hey, Lone Tree, how are you guys feeling? Okay, city of Denver is mortified that would happen. So the roadblocks that most people run into, we don't run into at all. That's what I'm saying. So no, I don't think it's easy, going to be a walk in the park. There have been things and will continue to be things. There will be obstacles to overcome. Question being, can they open on time? I think is a better question. 6 years from now, it sounds like a lot, but one thing that we're talking about in the Denver Post article is there's certain timeline for things like step B can't happen until step A happens, and step A isn't going to happen until this date on the calendar. So therefore, step B can't happen until this date and so there's all these dominoes that do have to fall. But I'm almost certain that the Broncos have seen that, and their timetable remains 6 years from now. They'll be kicking off in the new Sean Boyd Stadium down at Burnham Yard. Nice thing is, I think their lease goes, I could be wrong, another 7 or 8 years maybe at Empower Field. But even if it doesn't, if they need to rent the stadium for another year or two, do you think the Metro District is going to say no? Of course not. They'll take the money. I don't know how much it costs to rent the stadium for a year, but they'll take that money until they take a wrecking ball to it. So, no, I think it'll be fine. It'll have its issues, but the Broncos would not be doing it if they did not know for certain that they could get it done. Everything will be fine. All right, final segment on Father's Day coming up next.
3 years ago, the Broncos were a laughingstock. Now, back-to-back playoffs, 32 wins, and an ownership group spending like they mean it. Now Cecil's ready to say what Broncos country is thinking.
The greatest bit of news and information that I can provide today for you is merely this. Greg Penner is inevitable. Greg Penner is undeniable. Greg Penner and the Walton Penner Group and the Denver Broncos are going to be a dynasty. They just are. That sort of businessman, that sort of business people do is they excel.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
DeerTrailMeatCo.com. That's DeerTrailMeatCo.com. It's Father's Day. Hopefully, you get together with your family. They'll shower you with love, and you might just throw something delicious on the grill. It's a lot easier when all you have to do is get up in the morning and take a look in your freezer and go, what do I want today? Do I want ribeyes? Do I want filet? Maybe I'll make a filet for the wife. I'll take a ribeye for myself, and I'll take hamburgers for the kids. They don't get the good stuff. Well, even with the DeerTrailMeatCo.com, even the kids can get the good stuff because you're getting it delivered to your front door at a tremendous savings over the grocery stores. Come on, I'm not the only guy guilty of that, right? I mean, you make the steak for the adults and the kids get the hot dogs and the hamburgers, but you don't have to do that with DeerTrailMeatCo.com because the savings you're getting over the grocery stores are tremendous, up to 75, 80%, depending on your bundle. It's fantastic, and they give you a money-back guarantee. It makes life easier, it makes getting through the week easier, and it makes holidays more special. Check them out, DeerTrailMeatCo.com.
Done right kitchens, baths, counters and floors, finished basements, windows and doors. Our 8% scheduling incentive and bank financing to ask about make a great time to call 800-362-8370 or drhi.com.
This summer, all roads lead to Groove Toyota in Inglewood during our Summer on Us sales event. Choose from hundreds of pre-owns, 40 under 15 grand, from the oldest family-owned Toyota dealership in the Denver Metro. See the selection at GrooveToyota.com. More than 100 used Toyotas, including Toyota Certified. Reserve your vehicle now at GrooveToyota.com. Start here, go anywhere.
Offer expires 6/7/26. Not all will qualify. Restrictions apply with approved credit. Call 720-961-4465 for complete details.
Walmart is proud to sponsor the Be a Mentor, Be a Fan football camp with 104.3 The Fan. Broncos alumni hosts and South High School coaches are teaming up to support Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Colorado and help inspire the next generation through mentorship, teamwork, and community.
Who helps keep Colorado's wildlife wild? Our people do.
Hello, my name is Patricia. I've been with Chevron for over 17 years.
Her team uses GPS to track where mule deer and pronghorn roam throughout the seasons. This data helps us take their habitats into consideration when planning our operations.
When we created our comprehensive wildlife and conservation program, it was really about what was possible.
Learn more at colorado.chevron.com.
To 15-year-old Harper, buying an $80 vintage rock t-shirt is a great investment. To Harper's mom, this logic has a few holes in it. So she helped Harper open a Wells Fargo Clear Access banking account. With no overdraft fees and tools to track spending, Harper's learning, one heavy metal tee at a time. However you make money work, Wells Fargo can work with that.
Terms apply. Visit wellsfargo.com/deposit disclosures for fees and details.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my friends at Xfinity. What if you had the most reliable, fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to Xfinity Summer Savings Event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 22nd, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included. No strings, no commitments, and get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply to Mobile Select. Xfinity Internet required. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable.
It's the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan.
All right, final segment here on the station. Actually, I forgot to tell you this, Sean. I wanted to circle back to something you said earlier in the show that you needed to get off your chest, and we hadn't gotten to it yet, but I was reminded of it because I thought maybe, just maybe, you were referring to the promo that we just heard from Cecil Lammey. He's got breaking news. The Broncos are going to be a dynasty because Cecil says so.
Yeah, see, this is what I didn't want to do because shout outs to Cecil. I like Cecil. I rock with him. But I heard him earlier this week. There was a foul on the play. He said that J.K. Dobbins, when healthy, is a top 5 running back in the NFL. Me, myself, I have to beg to differ with that because I'm going to name off 5 or 6 guys that would you take them over J.K. Dobbins at healthy full strength? We got Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Jahmyr Gibbs. Go?
Yeah, I think there was like 7. Yeah.
Nowhere in there is J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, no, J.K. Dobbins is not in there. No, I would say. But what I think what Cecil's going to point to is, well, just look at the numbers. When he was healthy last year, I think he was top 3 in rushing when he was healthy.
Yeah, but see, when he's healthy, that asterisk gets deployed when we start talking about body of work over a 17-game season. And if he's not available, then he's not in the conversation.
Availability is ability, right?
Yeah, and I just couldn't believe that I was hearing that from Cecil because I said, this guy knows more football than a lot of people ever learn. So when he says these things, I think that he has some real merit to it. But when I get to looking at it and I'm looking for, top 5 type of running backs, I don't see anyone on the Broncos roster right now that gives you that optimism that a dynasty is anywhere near in the
Well, and it's funny because we were talking when I was filling in for Cecil on Friday. One of the questions was, well, man, that running back room is getting pretty full. And I laughed because it's, what happens every year? We have things like the Evan Ingram thing, right? Like the media props up some ridiculous notion year after year. And then guess what? They were all touting last year Evan Ingram as the savior of this team, one of the saviors of this team, why this team was going to be awesome. And then when he turned out to be historically disappointing, they turncoated on him. But then they changed their mind again. Now, right, we have an article on DenverSports.com, and he's not the only one, but Brandon Stokely talking about Evan Ingram's the dark horse to do this and that because, you get better in your 10th year, not worse, right? And but whatever. Oh, by the way, and when you add Jalen Waddle to the mix, that's going to mean more opportunities, not less opportunities for Evan Ingram. Okay, it's silly, but these things happen. And Cecil's not immune to them, so Cecil's excited. He sees the Walton Penner group doing good things, and so he's getting a little loose with his lips. That's all. It doesn't mean Cecil's a bad guy. He's optimistic. He's just being a fan. He's stepping aside from his role as serious analyst when he makes hyperbolic statements like that, and he's just being a fan. That's all. And I'm a fan. You're a fan. We're all fans. We're allowed to do that from time to time. But what we did yesterday, Sean, was we went through all the sports right now. How many dynasties are there?
Yeah, I was listening to that.
Right?
I was listening to that.
And the answer is not many, right? And how many dynasties have there been in NFL history without a Hall of Fame elite, maybe best in the league type quarterback? And the answer is not many. And what do you have here to tell you today that Bo Nix is as good as John Elway, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Troy Aikman, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady? Nothing but hope. You got nothing but hope to tell you that. So if you hope that he's that good, great. But I don't know that anybody besides our 3 guys in the afternoon, they love them some Bo Nix, Kevin Kistner and Josh Dover. And that was the other thing they were giving him a hard time about. Like Dover was a promo about, well, if he just throws for 15 or 20 more touchdowns, if I only grow 6 inches overnight, I'll be 6 foot something, right? 6'4", but it's not, it just doesn't happen. And then that got into this notion of, well, yeah, but what if Jalen Waddle automatically adds 10 touchdowns to Bo Nix's total? That would help him become an MVP candidate. Well, how is that going to happen? How is he just First off, Jalen Waddle doesn't catch 10 touchdowns. But you can't just add 10 touchdowns on. You can, but it's not based on anything. That was what Chad Andrews was saying. You can want Bo Nix to be an MVP candidate. You can hope he's an MVP candidate. You can even be optimistic that he's going to be the league in passing attempts last year, but was near the bottom of the league in yards per attempt last year, is going to explode with 25 more touchdowns and throw no interceptions. You're not really pointing to anything tangible. The evidence would say, yeah, you know what? You're right. And similarly, you're not saying there's nothing that's projecting that Bo Nix is Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or John Elway. He's tending to be a borderline. He's trending to be maybe a borderline top 10 pick that plays for a very well-coached team with a great defense, and that together, collectively, as a unit, as a team, we hope they can win some Super Bowls. But it's not a foregone conclusion. You'd be a fool to be out there shouting from the mountaintops that a team that just got beat at home in the AFC Championship game is somehow magically going to manifest into a destiny, when destinies are not that common. So, no, I understand the excitement and the optimism and all that stuff's great. But what did you say, delusional?
Yeah, I just felt they're a little delusional. When you look at J.K. Dobbins and you're pointing to him as a top 5 running back, that's pure delusion. Even healthy or non-healthy, there's just nothing there that supports that claim.
Dude, we get it from our guys all the time. I could go forever. D-Mac saying that, Jerry Jeudy was going to be a top 3 all-time player. Royce Freeman was going to be the next guy. Cecil said that. Believing that Paxton Lynch was going to do this or that. What are some of these other ones? Oh, the Bill Musgrave offense was going to cure all that ails the Denver Broncos. Joe Flacco was a franchise-winning MVP quarterback just entering his prime. All sorts of delusional things. Oh, if this happens, then Vance Joseph's going to be the coach of the year.
Yeah,
If Cortland Sutton's a top 5 or 10 receiver in this league. We hear these hyperbolic things all the time out of our brothers here on the station.
And I get it. Those guys, our brothers, they go out to the Valley. They get to put boots on the ground, boots on the grass. They get to sit there and watch practice the entire day. So that builds a little bit more optimism than somebody that's from the outside looking in. I just asked you the question, Dan, before we get out of here. Where in this particular roster do you have the same makeup of a dynasty that would allude to a dynasty like the Broncos had before with Elway, Davis, and Shannon Sharp?
Well, by the way, that's even a borderline dynasty, right? They won 2. They've got 2 of them back to back. Well, is every team that wins 2 championships a dynasty?
I
Some
agree.
People say you got to get 3.
I'm gonna go. If you go back to back, if you go off one year and go back and win the next year, like that's still a dynasty to me.
I think the Broncos have an argument to be in that conversation. The problem was it ended so quickly when John Elway retired. It's like, oh, they're really a dynasty. They won 2. But in the conversation there, the thing I would say here is the optimism is that they have a really good defense. They have a very promising, potentially franchise-level quarterback. And you could say they can do some good things there. But it's hard to win multiple Super Bowls. And to me, I'd say there's nothing to point to a dynasty. There's points to be hopeful for and optimistic about. And there's no reason to believe that the Broncos aren't going to be a contender this year. But to just blanketly proclaim, I got news for you, and also dripping in that is, and if you don't like it, I don't care, is they're a dynasty. Bank it. It's a fact. It's not a fact. It's a hope. It's a prayer. It's a wish. It's a dream. Something to strive for. Get one first. All right? Michael Malone had a dynasty, didn't he? Yeah, what happened to that dynasty? It's over. All right, hey, man. Thanks so much, Sean Boyd. Great job out of you. Thanks for everybody listening. Thanks to Jeff Wolf. Thanks to James Merrillat. We'll be back at it again Saturday morning, 11 a.m. for the Dan Jacobs Show.
He's Judge Dan J. He doesn't mean no harm, but he doesn't mind telling you he's right, you are wrong. He's reading your checks, he's taking your calls, It's the Dan Jacobs Show, and he'll decide what the law will allow. It's making your day the only way he knows how. By giving you the facts, cutting through the BS now. He's Judge Dan J. He doesn't mean no harm, but he doesn't mind telling you he's right and you are wrong.
One can't stay on the court, the other can't stay on the field. There are certain things that are putting Aaron Gordon and J.K. Dobbins in the same conversation, and neither one should be happy about it.
So is Aaron Gordon now in the J.K. Dobbins category in your mind, that it's not a matter of when he gets hurt or if he gets hurt, it's when he gets hurt and how long will he be out? I mean, is it, at this point, is this just the way he's going to be?
Yeah.
A part-time player, and you're going to be holding your breath, especially come playoff time, every game.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
It's home selling season. And what's the biggest mistake you can make when selling your home? Settling for less money. That never happens with Orchard. Low ball offers can wear you down, causing you to settle for thousands less. You don't have to settle when you sell with an Orchard agent. Orchard reinvented the real estate industry by guaranteeing your home sale. Their local agents help you sell on market for top dollar. First, Orchard gives you cash up front to buy and move into your new home first, on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then, once you're settled in, your Orchard agent helps you sell your home on market for top dollar. Here's what one customer said. I went under contract within 24 hours of my home listing, which was amazing. With Orchard, you never have to settle for less. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Curious how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.